We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My guest is the national educator for Flora. Flora Supplements is a worldwide supplement company, been around since the early part of the 20th century. Alberto Trujillo is the national educator. Alberto, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Nice to be here with you, Josh.
Nice to have you back on the show. You've been on before, and Flora certainly is an important company. And so for those people who are maybe new to wellness, Flora is international, is it not? I mean, not just in the United States and Canada, but it's throughout Europe, the Flora products?
That's correct. We sell our products probably in about 50 to 60 different countries around the world.
An international company, which everyone actually, thinks highly of. And you continue to have fresh technology, fresh ideas. And for many of my listeners who just don't know this, Flora really is given credit for really bringing the first flaxseed oil to market and even coining the term flaxseed oil. Is that?
That is correct. Internally within the company, there's a friendly debate between the owner of Flora, Thomas Greither, whose grandfather originated the company Salzhaus in Germany in 1916. And Udo Erasmus, whom maybe many of your listeners probably know, he introduced the commercial flaxseed oil to the health food industry in the 1980s. And so he actually introduced the first packaged product into the market in the mid-1980s. But Thomas used to sell fresh pressed flax oil out of his store in Vermont.
He had a health food store in Vermont.
Yes,
right?
That's correct. So he had a health food store in Vermont, and he had a small little, looks just like a wheatgrass press, and it turns and it squeezes basically the seeds, and it drips out. It doesn't come out a lot, just a little bit, and then the fiber comes out at the end, just like wheatgrass. So those folks that make wheatgrass, they know what I'm talking about. He had one of those in his store, and so basically he would recycle glass bottles, and people would come in, and he would press flax oil for his customers, which is pretty amazing, really, if you think about it.
It is, actually.
Yeah, and so he might have sold flax oil first here in the U.S. Of course, he immigrated from Germany, and he knew Johanna Budwig, who used to have a great treatment for people with flax oil. She used it in combination with other foods like cottage cheese, and treated a lot of people with degenerative disease in Germany.
Right, and Joanna also enjoyed an international reputation for quite a while. Her thinking. Now, flaxseed oil, I actually think it tastes nice. And what does flaxseed oil do for me, and why should I use it?
Flax oil is probably the best known source of what we call essential fatty acids. Primarily, there are two: alpha-linolenic acid, which is the essential omega-3, and linoleic acid, which is the essential omega-6. And flax happens to be a good source of both. It's a 4-to-1 ratio, omega-3 to 6.
Oh, it is 4-to-1.
Yes, so it gives you basically 4 times more omega-3 than 6. So it's a nice product, especially for most Americans who consume more 6s than 3s. And so we are more deficient in the 3s than the 6s. So that's why Udo chose flax, to help people compensate for the deficiency of the 3s in the diet. And so the omega-3s and the 6s in the body convert to other fatty acids that are very important for our health. For example, the omega-3s convert to something we call GLA, and GLA is a precursor to a hormone-like compound that helps us have healthier circulation. They help dilate blood vessels, and if you can help dilate somebody's blood vessels, then you may be able to reduce their blood pressure, right? Because you're making them larger. So now you have healthier circulation, lower blood pressure. They are also precursors to some anti-inflammatories, and very important for brain. I'm sure everybody knows. You hear a lot about omega-3s these days, about brain and eye health and skin health.
What about brain health? What do omega-3s do for us for brain health?
Well, omega-3s and 6s actually are important for brain health. The essential omega-3 converts to EPA and DHA.
Yes.
And DHA incorporates into the cell membranes of our brain cells, and is very important for their health. On the side of the omega-6s, the essential omega-6 linoleic acid converts to GLA, and that converts to arachidonic acid. And arachidonic acid, even though some people may think or sort of made it seem like it's a bad thing, it's also very important for our brain. It's the second most abundant fatty acid in the human brain, and so we need it for proper brain function.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we may need slightly more arachidonic acid than DHA, just because we burn through it faster. So those two fatty acids are very important for our brain function. So that's why usually when you take a combination of omega-3s along with the 6s, you'll get better results. So you have more of a balance. And in nature, like flaxseed, nature always uses combination, synergy.
Right.
And very seldom do you find just a food that contains just one. It has a little bit of both.
Yes.
And so because we need both, and it's better to take a broad range of nutrients, full spectrum nutrients, and flax is one of the best sources of it.
If I was to use flax, first of all, I think flax oil tastes good. I put it on a baked potato. I put it on brown rice. I happen to like it. But if I was to use it therapeutically, how much should I use, and how do you suggest I use it?
We'd always recommend it 1 tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight.
Oh, that much?
Yes,
Okay.
1 tablespoon. Well, if you think about it, we eat about 100 grams of fat a day in North America.
The average American does?
So somewhere between 75 to 125
Mm-hmm.
grams. So 1 tablespoon is 14 grams. If you weigh 100 pounds, that would be 2 tablespoons. So you're talking about 28 grams, right? So compared to your daily dietary fat intake, it's not that much. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to help people build a nice foundation of good, healthy omegas in their diet,
Right.
so that they offset, or what Udo says is you crowd out the bad fats out of the diet by bringing in the good omegas into the diet. And so a 150-pound person would take 3 tablespoons of it. And so you get at least about 40% of your dietary fat from good, healthy fats, somewhere between 30 to 40%, if you take 2 to 3 tablespoons a
And
day.
you put that, so you could put it in brown rice, you could put it in oatmeal if you like, but also you put it in protein shakes or carrot juice, or what do you think?
Anything. Yes, I think that it's really easy to take the omegas in things like smoothies and juice. Also, I like to blend it into my yogurt, into oatmeal. I like to pour it on pasta. You can use it along with bread dipping. Like you can mix it, say, with some balsamic vinegar, and it's really good actually. So you want to use it with your food, because as whole foods, it's the way nature intended it.
Right.
It's really not very natural to take a tablespoon of oil by itself, because
Right.
oils are part of foods.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to use it along with your food, not just like a medicine and just taking a tablespoon at a time. And you know what? It will enhance the absorption of your fat-soluble nutrients. There actually was a study done where they took one group and they gave them salad, vegetables, with a fat-free dressing.
Uh-huh.
And then the other group got salad with a fat oil-based dressing. And then they actually took their blood to measure their nutrients, fat-soluble nutrients, vitamins, vitamin E, vitamin D, and so on. And actually, the difference between the folks that had the fat-free diet dressing compared to the fat-based dressing was drastic. So the fat actually helps dissolves the fat-soluble nutrients in your food, especially in your vegetables and in your salad. So it's important not to avoid good oils. I a lot of folks are out there trying to avoid fat because they're trying to manage their weight and so on.
Right.
But the body actually needs good, healthy oils to be healthy.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Now, on the Flora oils, let's talk about just flaxseed oil right now. I noticed that they're packed in glass as opposed to plastic. And also, I have been told that you manufacture these oils on small presses. And so, tell me why that's important and why it's better in glass than plastic and why the Flora is such a strong brand for flax.
Well, the plastic issue, I think that's a simple answer because plastic is insidious and we don't recycle much of it. I think we only recycle less than 4% of the plastic.
Right.
It's a good idea. It seems like a good idea when you use plastic because it's recyclable. The fact is that manufacturers are not buying recycled plastic for their goods because they want new plastic for their goods. Understandably so. They want the highest quality plastic. So we're actually recycling less than 4%. So it ends up in landfills, and we all know it doesn't biodegrade.
Right.
So it's in our environment forever sometimes. So and of course, glass is not insidious like plastic, and it's not toxic to animals. Unfortunately, fish and birds are consuming little pieces of plastic and they're dying. We're seeing decreases in some populations of wildlife. So the glass it's very friendly to the environment, and of course it breaks down eventually and ends up back probably as sand, as if what it really is. So that's the easy question, the easy answer. The other thing is you don't have to worry about any possible chemicals leaching out of the glass,
which is definitely it's an issue, isn't it? So we recognize now that plastic does lend itself, like when you drink water out of a plastic bottle, it kind of tastes like plastic, so that can't be good.
No, and I think that at some point we're going to figure out that plastic chemicals, what we call bisphenols, they are endocrine disruptors. What that means is that they disrupt your hormonal system. I think one day we're going to find out that these plastic chemicals are as bad as we eventually found mercury to be and lead to be. I think we're going to get there at some point. We're not there yet. But so I think if you can get plastic out of the diet, it's a good start for people.
I think it is as well. And the fact, so glass is better because I think it also keeps the product fresher, actually, doesn't it? So it's better for
it does, because it doesn't breathe like plastic.
And what's the idea of, now Thomas Greider did the first press in his health food store in Vermont, and he uses a small press.
Yes.
Why do I, as a consumer, wish to have a flaxseed oil or any oil pressed from a small press rather than a large press? What's the benefit for me?
Because it will protect the oil by not creating too much heat. That's the bottom line. The omegas, the reason why normally companies will recommend not cooking with them is because they become damaged by heat.
Right.
And so when you're manufacturing them, you don't want to create too much heat in the manufacturing process. The larger the press and the moving parts, the more heat that's going to be created by the friction. He has up to maybe 50 or so small little presses, really old-fashioned, but it creates a much higher quality product.
Right.
It protects the oil from oxidation and damage, and the whole system is protected from light and oxygen, which would increase the oxidative stress and the damage. So by doing so, you're creating a much, much healthier product for people.
Right.
Because the whole idea is creating products with health in mind.
Right.
Not with shelf life in mind. So no refining and no harsh chemicals in the processing. Very natural process. And so you can get a much higher quality product for people.
And so in general, people see Flora as the premier brand on flaxseed oil. Is that fair to say? I mean, besides being the original brand, it's the premier brand as far as taste?
I believe so. I think Flora, because of the length of time of existence from the company, from 1916 in Germany and eventually Canada and the U.S., has a great reputation because they have a very, very high standard of quality in manufacturing and also environmental effort to protect and to minimize their impact on the environment since the beginning of the company. The facilities in Germany, they're amazing. Of course, they're so far ahead of us.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
You know, and they are completely self-sustained. You know, they create their own electricity.
Really?
Yeah, for their own facility. They built the facility around a river, and the water goes through, and they use the water to manufacture electricity for their facility. It's really amazing what they do to reduce their impact on the environment. So I think that Flora in the industry has that kind of a reputation because they make sure that they don't create too much waste, that they don't create too much of a burden on the environment, and that they are producing the highest quality products available.
Well, for those of you just tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network, we're speaking with Alberto Trujillo, who is the national educator for Flora Supplements. Flora is an international supplement house, and you have a new product now, very reasonably new, and it's this one. It's called 7 Sources. And so what's the idea behind this newer product?
The whole idea here is that we created the most complete omega product on the market.
Mm-hmm.
There are different types of omegas. So you have the 2 main groups, which are the omega-6s and the 3s. And the reason why those are the 2 main groups, because there's actually many. There's omega-7s and 9s and so on. There's over 20 different fatty acids. The reason why people hear a lot about omega-3s and 6s is because the 2 that are essential, that the body can manufacture, so we must get from the diet, belong to the 3s and the 6s. There, you could call them the parent omegas. Mm-hmm. The alpha-linolenic acid is the essential omega-3, and the linoleic acid is the essential omega-6. So that's why we hear a lot about the 3s and 6s. So what we did here is we put those 2 as the base of the product, and then we added the derivatives that a lot of people are looking for. So people out there are looking for EPA for their cardiovascular health. They're looking for DHA for their brain health, eye health, and so on.
And so brain health. So in your opinion, the DHA in the flaxseed oil and in the 7 Source is good for children, the ability to focus, or for adults, the ability to focus. It's good, also considered good for mood.
In some studies, you find that it would help. It will help individuals that are dealing with learning disabilities or cognitive challenges, as well as eye. There's some studies that show that there's some improvements in eye health.
Really? Okay.
Good for vision, because the DHA concentrates in the photoreceptors of the eye. And so in addition with the GLA, which is the omega-6, and that's what normally people will get in evening primrose, mm-hmm. because there is flax, sesame, sunflower, pumpkin seed, coconut, evening primrose, and then algae. And the algae is where we get the DHA and the EPA, mm-hmm. which previously you could only get it from an animal source like fish, which nothing wrong with it. But in this case, now we know that fish get their DHA and EPA from algae,
right? From
eating algae. So now we can.
And algae are what again? They're little.
It's like a
green vegetable.
Yeah, it's like a plant. It's like a seed plant, mm-hmm. right? And so now we can just grow the algae. And through fermentation, it creates about 30% EPA and DHA.
Huh.
And now we don't have to squeeze the little fish. We can let them be happy.
So is it cost effective this way too?
I think it's comparably cost effective. I think it might be less expensive than fish oil. So I think it's a good value for the consumer, and it's more environmentally friendly. Of course, it's ocean eco-friendly, because it doesn't affect anything in the ocean. Because what you do is you take the brown algae, you put it in a container, isolated container, stainless steel, and you feed it carbohydrates, and it just grows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very easily.
You guys have a plant like that in Canada?
Well, no, we actually contract a manufacturer to grow the algae and extract the oil for us. Yes. So it makes it very eco-friendly in that sense, and it's very balanced, because now it gives you everything that, for example, somebody would want to get from fish oil, but from plant, and then everything that somebody would want to get from plant-based omegas like flax or sesame or evening primrose. Mm-hmm. So it puts that all in one product. So now you have for example, the omega-3s for your brain and eye and cardiovascular health, but you also have the omega-6s for your skin and your inflammation in your brain, and so on. So you have a nice, complete, full spectrum omega product, all from plants. Very eco-friendly.
And what do you suggest? Say someone your size. How much of the 7 source should you use per day, or do you use per day? And once again, how do you use it?
Same idea. The usage is going to be 1 tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight.
Okay.
So I would use 3 tablespoons a day, 3 to 4 tablespoons a day, and I would just put it in my food. So normally I would put a couple tablespoons in my yogurt in the morning or my oatmeal, and then I would put a couple tablespoons in my salad in the day, midday, or in the evening, and I'm done for the day.
Do you find it keeps your skin moist?
It keeps my skin very healthy, but more so, I think I find that it helps my cognitive function.
You feel clearer. You actually kind of feel it.
It's just, I don't know. People always say, well, how do you know if it really works? And I think that a lot of it is believing in what you're doing, and it's all one body.
Yes.
You can't separate the head from the rest.
Right.
If you try to do that, it won't work out very well for you.
Right.
But, a lot of people try to do it. They say, oh, it's all in your head. Well, I think my head is a very important part of the body. So I'm okay if it's all in my head.
Right.
Right. So to me, that's what I notice. I notice that I do seem to be a bit sharper, and then my recollection is better. So for me, that's my driving motivation to keep, make sure that I'm getting good, healthy omegas into my diet.
When you train other people, because I know that's your job in the United States to train people on this subject, and let's say you visit a store or some facility, and you recommend the flaxseed oil or the DHA EPA products.
7 sources.
So, do people come back to you and say, Alberto, I started taking this, and in a week or less, I just felt more clear. I just felt sharper. Do people tell you that?
I don't know if specifically they'll tell me that, but I come across many people that'll say, I love it. It really, it makes me feel good, whatever it is, different symptoms. I just love the product. It really works good. I think that a lot of people aren't taking it necessarily to treat something, so they're not looking for a specific symptom to disappear or something. I think people are using, especially in the industry, as a preventative to be healthy. Their interest is health. And so I don't know that people specifically tell me one thing or another, but they will comment on how well they feel in general. Or maybe I think what I hear the most is hair and skin. That's probably one of the things that I hear. Wow, this is great for my skin. I feel it. I even, one person I remember telling me, I used to have dry eye. Now my eyes, I don't need to use drops anymore.
Oh, that's very nice.
I think lubrication, because the oils, they serve as a layer to keep moisture from escaping from our body. So it keeps us hydrated. And so I think that the lubrication and the hydration, it really helps people in their skin, and they kind of see that, and that's a little bit more tangible than say.
Oh, it's very tangible. Oh, yes.
Yeah, than say, oh, I noticed that my brain is faster, or that's kind of harder to measure.
Let me ask you a question about another one of your important products, and that is the Floradex liquid iron. And that was really one of the early products of the company from the early part of the 20th century. Now, is there a technique that you guys were using a long time ago, which is now reasonably popular, that your product was based in a culture, and that the cultured product then gave you much more absorption of nutrients? That's actually pretty popular now as a concept. Do you get credit for that one?
Well, I think that the German folks up in Salus House, where the company started, they get
and
credit.
Salus is part of Flora.
Salus is the original company.
Okay, Salus
in
House,
Germany.
okay.
Yeah, Salud of course means health. Salud. Some people toast say salud. So in German, health is Salus, and so they have credit for being a pioneer in this culture supplement.
So for my listening audience on LA Talk Live, tell me about the culture, the process of the formulation of the Floradex liquid iron.
So what they do is they'll take Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is a brewer's yeast, and they would mix that with the vegetables and herbs, and they would put that through fermentation process. And they also put nutrients in there, say iron in this case, and the iron naturally is iron sulfate, and it's really is metallic iron. And so the whole idea is that through fermentation, you're going to create acids, because we know that we create lactic acid or acetic acid, which is vinegar, gluconic acid. Through the fermentation, the acid then dissolves the mineral. And then some of the, say, gluconic acid or whatever you might have, lactic acid, combines with the mineral, and it creates a new food-based mineral compound, like iron gluconate. So now you just converted metallic iron sulfate to iron gluconate from this fermentation process, and now it's really easy for your digestive system to utilize.
And now that's an idea that is reasonably popular now, isn't it? I mean, a number of companies thinking this is a good idea, they're kind of doing that. So would you say that in the early part of the 20th century that Salus House really, they kind of were the first guys to do that? Maybe someone did it in the 18th century, and I don't know. But did they do it first in the 20th century?
I would say absolutely so, and especially in this industry, there are some good companies doing that today. They obviously were not around in the turn of the century, like Salus House probably weren't even around for 50 years later. So while companies today are doing this, and it is a very popular process because it makes sense. It makes sense for our digestive system. It makes it very user-friendly for our body to utilize a product that's been made from a food fermentation process. So, yeah, I would say they were way ahead of the curve by many, many decades. So in this process that today is very popular.
If I was to use the Floradix liquid iron as an adult male, do I need more or less than the adult female? Do I need more or less than children? And how much should each of those groups use, in your opinion?
In general, men require, according to the RDA numbers, about 10 milligrams a day of iron, and women about 18. Aside from that, and children are about the same. They're about 10 milligrams, and females, until they get to their childbearing years and they start their menstrual cycle, then they increase from the 10 to 12 to 18. So during childbearing years, that's when they'll require 18. And then some will require more during, say, menstrual cycles or pregnancy. Sometimes during their last trimester, they will require up to 40 milligrams a day.
Oh, I see.
So depending on the situation, the requirements will increase. And so for us, yes, we need 10 milligrams a day. So depending on your diet, you may want to take a half a teaspoon, which is 5 milligrams. We always recommend that people get only part of their nutrients from the supplements, because we believe that food should be the primary source of nutrients, and that the supplements the deficiency.
Right.
So if a man was going to take it, we would only recommend 5 milligrams, half of their recommended amount. Hopefully, the other 5 milligrams they're going to get from their diet.
That's conservative. And as a human being, what's my food source of iron?
Well, vegetables,
Beets?
leafy greens, beets, spinach, chard, arugula. Those are your sources of iron. Also beans.
Beans?
Yes.
Well, Alberto Trujillo, educator for Flora, it's been delightful having you here. Great pleasure having someone knowledgeable on the show. And how can we contact you at Flora?
You can just go to our website, and it's florahealth.com, www.florahealth.com.
That's F-L-O-R-A.
F-L-O-R-A, yeah, florahealth.com.
And your products are sold throughout the United States and Canada and throughout Europe.
Yes, that's correct. And also South America, in a lot of different countries. So you can find them through the website, and there's an international site, there is a Canadian site, and there's an American site. And then that will lead you to wherever you want to go.
That sounds good. Thanks for being a guest today on Here's to Your Health.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network. And now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
If you go away on this summer's day, then you might as well take the sun away. All the birds that flew in the summer sky, when our love was new and our hearts were high.
We're back.
And the day was
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My guest is actor, singer Lisa Zane. That is her singing in the background. And Lisa has a long history of work in Hollywood. She was a series regular on LA Law. I think it was 17 episodes. A series regular on ER. She was on Dinotopia. She was actually appeared on Incredible Hulk twice. She also does voiceovers and appeared 17 times on a series, Biker Mice from Mars, which is, very much fun, and also sang at many places around the globe, but recently at Joe's Pub in New York City, named after Joseph Papp, and one of the most important venues in the United States, quite frankly, and actually broke Amy Winehouse there in 2007. So, Lisa, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joshua.
So you work in showbiz. You've done everything in showbiz, and you have quite an extensive resume. And you decided at one point that really voice, you wanted to work as a
singer and a songwriter.
As a mature singer and songwriter, as opposed to you weren't doing stuff by Herman's Hermits. You weren't doing pop. I'm not making fun of Herman's Hermits.
I love Herman's Hermits.
Exactly. You weren't doing pop stuff. You were doing mature singing, right?
Yes. Well, I was mature. That's why I came to it a little bit later. I always loved it. Even when I was 11, I loved torch singing. I loved dramatic singing.
You don't mind the term torch singing. You don't mind that. It's not a derogatory term.
I think it's a wonderful term. And not a lot of people know it. But, it's like sad ballads, basically. I like folk music. I always did. I grew up listening to it. And when I started to write songs, that's sort of just what came out. Not exclusively. I also do, kind of individualistic pop style songs as well. But no, I like telling stories with my voice. I like singing in a minor key. I like...
Now, exactly, yes. The whole discussion of songs in a minor key, what does that mean exactly?
People know it when they hear it, if they don't know literally what minor
Right.
mean. I guess it's a sadder, more, it's a lament, let's say.
Is that what Lou Reed always does? Is that minor key stuff?
Not necessarily.
No? All right.
Although, he imbues his music with, a soulful sadness as well, world weary kind of sadness, and that's all in the same wheelhouse, I think,
As a young girl, you traveled to Europe. Did you study in Italy?
I did, in college. I spent my junior year in Italy.
And so you speak Italian?
Yeah, I think I still do. I don't get a chance to practice it very often, but yeah. I mean, I came home pretty fluent.
And when you went to Europe, you were always interested in theater? You were interested in performing?
Yeah, well, at the time, in college, I was a drama major, so yes, I was, focused on that. I was, planning to be an actor and everything, but I just had to, take a foray into foreign languages as well, because I thought that would serve me, and in fact it has, because as a singer I sing in different languages, and it just opens up the opportunity for so many more wonderful songs, that I can learn and offer up, Spanish songs, Greek songs, Italian songs, French songs in particular, which I also love.
Is there now? Of course, you've done many. You've worked a lot in Hollywood, and you were in the Freddie films where you're not the.
I was in one. I was in what was supposed to be the last one, which I still consider the last one. Yeah, Freddie's Dead, in which I killed him.
Right. So, and the reason I mention that is because you really worked a lot as an actor, and then you just decided, okay, I want to do singing. Is that it? So it was kind of a big move, wasn't it?
Well, I didn't forego acting. I still enjoy acting, and I, still hope to do it, all the way until I can't do it anymore. I think it's all, it's all the same thing, really. I mean, but I did take a turn into singing in, to be specific, 1998, when I started to sing in a nightclub in Los Angeles, and that's what propelled me to go to New York just after that. So you mentioned that I sang at Joe's Pub recently, which really isn't true. It was more like the turn of the century.
Right, but you sang at Joe's Pub because
I did,
for me,
several
Joe's Pub.
Several times. It's a wonderful venue. I mean, I haven't been there in quite a while, but
It is a wonderful venue. It's a culturally important spot.
I think so, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly the public theater is, and I think they do a great job there. But yeah, so as of about then, I really, really started to focus my creative energies and enthusiasm into singing, and then eventually songwriting, which I also very much enjoy, because I've always been a writer of journals and whatnot, and this was just it's just a great way to express a feeling and work out a feeling, and then present it.
And you also, based on your experience as a singer, you created a stage play, did you not?
Yes. It was sort of in its infancy when I did it, and I want to continue to work on it. It was kind of, in a nutshell, the history of saloon singing. Because I was trying to think of what I could do. I was offered a place in a theater in Chicago, and they said, "Why don't you? We'd love for you to do something just based around your music, some kind of one-woman show." And I was never comfortable with like the one-woman show thing as in terms of music. I really just like to get up there and sing song after song and be very loose with the audience. I don't have anything planned. I don't do patter. It's just not my style. So I was really struggling with this notion of how am I gonna do it. So it just occurred to me after a lot of thought, I thought, where is it that I sing? How is it that I do what I do? And it's really in bars and saloons, that's kind of almost my favorite way to sing, even though I've also sung in big venues. I really like it when I can, sit on a stool and people are very close to me and I can be intimate. That's a sort of a saloon situation. So I thought, wouldn't it be interesting, because I do different languages and stuff, to do, to trace the history of people who sing in bars, well, women who sing in bars. So I called it The Girl on the Piano, because I used to sit on the piano in the early days too. And it's just that style of communicating. And so I had these little vignettes that I created with songs, that accompany, we went to different countries, that was the conceit, and different times in history, because I like to sing old songs, and it worked out really interestingly, and I'm very, very eager to remount it and, go deeper into the subject of bars in general, because as societally, it's just an interesting subject, I think.
Actually, it is interesting. And so you you see yourself as a torch singer. So you do what? Songs from, I'll use the word, standard American songbook, all the Cole Porter, all the great tunes, and then you add your interpretation. Is that it?
Sure.
Is that fair to characterize it?
Yeah, but also there are great French torch songs and great Spanish torch songs and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I have all that.
But they're known by an American audience. They're so.
Some of them are, and some of them aren't. I like to really introduce songs like there's some amazingly beautiful Greek laments. That maybe most people obviously wouldn't know what I'm saying at all, but the music is so powerful and so moving that it works, somehow.
Let me ask a question now, because you had a lot of success in Hollywood, in film, and again, you did voiceovers. You do voiceovers, the Biker Mice from Mars,
you like
which
that
is
one.
very amusing. It's a very cute title, obviously.
It's cute.
And also, you were in Dinotopia?
I was.
And what else did you do besides Dinotopia?
Roar.
That
was fun.
That's right. So you've really worked a lot. I want to establish that. You've worked a lot.
I have.
And so, to some extent now, as a singer, I mean, do you kind of see yourself in the mold of, say, someone like Frank Sinatra, who remained credible after he wasn't 24 anymore? I mean, when he was 40, when he was 50, when he was 60, when he was 70, people said, we're going to go see Frank Sinatra. Is that the kind of music you do? People who are not necessarily 18-year-olds will go to this because they like theater and they like the music you sing and the way it's presented?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
My favorite Frank Sinatra record, hands down, is September of My Years, which he did when he was, over 40 and really, really seasoned and had his heart broken by then by Ava Gardner. And, that record, I remember listening to it and I was very young, and I think it had a huge impression on me. But, to tell you the truth, young people who come to my shows, who wander in, are really dig it. There's always, just like me when I was young, there's always going to be a number of young people who gravitate to that kind of music. So I love singing to them. I love the idea that maybe the first time they're going to hear The Man I Love or Lover Man is from me. I mean, that's really thrilling to me. Like some 18-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl hears Lover Man for the first time because she's used to hearing, pop music.
Right.
That's a huge thrill for me.
And so you're very selective on the songs you prepare.
Sure.
Are you trying to weave a tale? You try to tell a story with the various songs? Do the songs flow into each other, or you just try to do a song, then another song?
I really should attempt to do that, but I just don't. I like a looser show. I mean, I'm very specific with the set list. That's one of the things I spend a lot of time on, the order, because I think it's important. So there is a flow, but not like a literal one or a literary one or something. It's just more like a feel, and every time it's different. I've never done the same show twice. But I don't like to plan it out beyond that, because there's a lot of things you just feel the audience, and sometimes I, lean over to my piano player and say, let's switch that one, do something next. I know, and I can feel them. They want this now. Let's do that, So it's sort of like that. But yeah.
And when you perform, your band you show up with a piano player?
It depends. I can do it with just a guitar player. I can do it with guitar or bass. I can do it with like full band, violins and trumpets, and it's very.
Do you like working with a bigger band? Is it better? Is it more fun?
Depends. I really like the concentration of like a trio, in a small venue, too.
Because you can get a great sound.
There's more control, and they don't overwhelm you, and I don't know, it's looser, and then it's easier also to switch it up in the middle of it because especially if they know you well, and there's not too many people on stage, and I don't know. Although I would really like to do mixes of my songs where it's all sequenced and loud and huge, and I can sort of tame it, in a huge venue. That would be another experience that I'm looking forward to. I'm going to attempt that.
Are you on tour now? Are you going to be on tour shortly?
No, not on tour. I just, they're just sort of, I choose where I'd like to sing, and then I sing there, and then I choose the next place I'd like to sing.
And what was your first acting job in Hollywood? Because you must have done L.A. Law when you were pretty young.
Yeah.
You just came out and did you hit right away?
Within the first year, I started to work. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty fast, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, but you know how it is. They cast a wide net for young, people.
I don't actually know.
Oh,
I don't really know that.
Well,
but
they
I,
do.
okay.
Yeah, they do. I think a lot of people get a shot, in their first year or two because, especially if you show up and you're young and you're fresh and cute and all that, you get your shot. And then what you do with it after that is sort of up to you. And then whether you're lucky after that or whether I don't know. There's so many variables. Who knows?
So you did, I think, 16 or 17 episodes for L.A. Law. That was a very people like that show. It was a big show. Was that over 1 or 2 years?
It was just 1 year. It was like the 7th season or something.
What was your part? What did you do?
I played a lawyer.
Oh, you're a lawyer. Mm-hmm.
And I never lost a case. It was crazy.
Very nice.
How that happened. I was mostly just I didn't have a personal life. I wasn't one of the ones in the soap opera.
I see.
Part. I wasn't. Whatever. I didn't have a boyfriend, or there was no drama around my personal life. But I was in court a lot, and I really learned how to memorize dialogue, or speeches, I should say. Doing that show, that was intense.
And what was it like then for you at that point? So I imagine if you did that many episodes of L.A. Law, which was a very big show, when you were walking around L.A. or New York or Chicago, people say, "Oh my God, we recognize Lisa, we recognize." Did you get a lot of that?
Not much.
Really?
No, pretty invisible.
Why was that?
I don't know. Maybe I'd turn it off so I can be invisible. I like being invisible, or at least I think I am. Maybe I'm not, but it's comfortable for me to be able to sort of walk around, looking out as opposed to looking in, if you know what I mean.
Now, your brother, Billy Zane, was he in, Back to the Future 1 and 2, and he was in Titanic. Mm-hmm. So, is he a little younger than you? Mm-hmm. Did you used to beat him up when he was a kid?
Just ignored him.
Oh, I see. That was how you handle it, I see. And does he...
Until he caught up, and then he became fascinating, and then we became friends, and we still are.
Oh, that's very nice.
Thank God he became fascinating.
That's good. Yeah, yeah, younger brother.
You
okay.
never know.
I was maybe you beat him up or something. Was that your style?
Not my style at all.
Okay, I see. And what type of projects are you looking to do now? What are you doing now?
I am putting out my record now. This record called Val d'Amour.
Which means what?
Valley of Love.
Val d'Amour. Okay, I did not know.
Val d'Amour. Mm-hmm. And I'm very happy with it. I've worked really hard on it for the past 2 years. It's going to be available in 2 days. We're April 1st now, right? So it's April 3rd. It's going to be available on my website, lisazanemusic.com, which is also going to be online April 3rd. And that's what I'm promoting. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna do concerts in support of that. I'm gonna be living in Chicago for a while, or staying in Chicago for a while to do some, various projects there. And then what I would love to do is start writing a whole new batch of songs and do another record.
And when you write songs, do you have does a phrase pop into your head? You think, oh, that's such a delightful phrase, and I'm going to work a song around that or use that or something.
Yes, very often it's like that. Or I'll be in a conversation or reading a book and something will just pop out, or a perfectly wonderful rhyme or something will just sort of pop out somewhere, or it will occur to me, and I'll just just excuse myself and write it down and then get to it later. And I've got sort of a list of, songs that are sort of on deck that just need tending to and need fleshing out, based on ideas or phrases or whatnot, or dreams, literally, that you roll out of bed and boom, you've got something on your mind, or a melody on your mind. It comes in many different ways.
So what instruments do you play, by the way? What instruments?
I play enough guitar and enough piano to create a song, and then, but I don't accompany myself because I just don't want to. I mean, I'm not good enough to do that, frankly. I know enough to,
Now there are many contemporary musicians, songwriters who you probably admire their work, but someone like Leonard Cohen, do you consider him to be really a very strong musician that you kind of emulate in some way? Do you really like his style of music?
It's funny. Who was really an inspiration to me when I was young was Judy Collins, and she sang a lot of Leonard Cohen songs. So I didn't get to Leonard Cohen, the man, the voice, till later, but she, was in my life, at a much earlier age. But
In My Life, wasn't that one of her? Was
In
that an
My
album?
Life, very good.
Right.
Because that was a Beatles song. But she, she was terrific. She sang a lot of, of her contemporaries,
Yeah, she was
contemporary
terrific, yeah.
poets, music.
She's still around?
Sure, she
right,
is.
right.
No, she's wonderful. I love the simplicity and clarity of her voice, but she's not, drippy. You know, she's like
No, she's not drippy. No.
not at all.
No.
You know, and but with a clean voice like that, sometimes it can lean toward that, but it absolutely doesn't with her. She's just
Right.
I love listening to her, and she's theatrical too. You
Right.
know, and just her
She's had a very long
repertoire.
career.
She has,
Yes.
and she's a terrific songwriter too. So I admire her very much. I gotta say, I hope I can meet her someday.
And what about Joni Mitchell? Do you like she?
Yep, I
you-
came to her late too, though. In my 20s, which is late for a girl, I think.
Sometimes it might be.
But yeah, no, she's.
Well, what were you
wonderful,
focusing on?
too.
Just studying theater mostly. You weren't really doing pop music. You weren't concerned.
No, I liked pop music, but I just didn't gravitate to her early on. Someone actually, I was doing a play in Chicago, and one of the cast members gave me the record Blue. And I was
Oh,
like,
goodness.
oh, all right, let me hear this. And I just completely
Right, that was a
loved
strong
it.
album.
It was really strong, and that was the gateway to Joni Mitchell, I think. And she's marvelous, absolutely. Yeah, amazing lyricist, and I don't know. There's so many great songwriters.
And your new album. What's the name of it again?
Val d'Amour,
And that means what again?
Valley of Love.
Valley of Love. Okay. And so, is it mostly? I'll use the word standards from Greece, or it's all brand new? It's all new.
Originals.
They're all originals. Oh my
Except
goodness.
for the one we were just listening to, which is the great Jacques Brel song, Ne me quitte pas, which I sing in French and English. And then there's another great old traditional song called La Paloma, which is the first habanera, in fact. You know that dun, 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 which
I did
guess
not know that. I'm sorry. I did
Bizet
not know that.
ripped off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he did Carmen, the famous habanera from Carmen.
And where do you think he borrowed that from?
From the Cubans, the Cuban habanera. This is what my guitar player says.
What's
And he-
habanera?
It's that melody that we know from Carmen. Bum dun 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 dun
Mhm.
dun dun. Anyway, so I do La Paloma in a very traditional way, and those are the only two covers. Everything else is original, so that's why I'm proud of it. I worked hard on it, and I like it a lot.
And you had good musicians around you to support you.
Very good.
And in LA, I'm sure there's like lots of very good musicians.
Oh yeah.
So they happen to be on your project because they want a little bit of a status project. They want to work
I
with
don't know
quality
about
stuff.
that. I just we're friends, most of us, and because I'd worked with them in live shows and things, and so I just invited people I knew, and they happened to be great.
Are they classically trained musicians? Are they pop musicians, or a combination?
Combination. I think a combination. I mean, they're all very, very strong musicians, and I think they must all be classically trained. Absolutely. Yeah, I was lucky.
And what about acting? Does your agent send you out all the time to look for stuff? I mean, are you, because you really have you've done a lot of work. And if I could, once again, back to Biker Mice from Mars.
Why do you like Biker
Well,
Mice?
because it seems so amusing. And so
It was a voiceover. It didn't appear
I know
as
you
a
did. I
as
know.
a mouse.
I know. And it's a voiceover. And I also noticed that Mark Hamill, who was on Star Wars, he was on that series.
A lot
And
of
a couple of other
people
people who were like, had some, big hits, right? So they
Yeah.
had some big hits.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so what is it like to do voices on a series like that? You go in and they kind of give you a character you're trying to create and decide you have the good voice for that, or they want you to do something with your voice.
Well, it's a blast. It's really the most fun out there because you've got all these incredibly talented voiceover actors that mostly do just that. I mean, a lot of them do just that. And they're funny, so funny. They're great improvisers. They make, and they're upbeat, like, they make you laugh in between takes, and it's just joyful. It's a joyful experience.
So sometimes you're saying that it's kind of, even though there's a script, it's unscripted, they kind of like, they add something to it, and the production team leaves it in or takes it out.
Sometimes it's that, but yeah, I think sometimes it's that. I guess what I meant by great improvisers is in between they do shtick like crazy, and it's just the best stuff.
And what was your character on Biker Mice?
I was the mechanic, I think. I think I was a mechanic of these motorbikes, these space bikes. I can't remember.
How long ago was that? Was it 4 or 5 years ago?
More.
Okay.
And 7 or 8 years.
Was that reasonably successful, the Biker Mice thing?
I have no idea. I'm not 7. I don't.
Was it really for young kids? Really?
I think so.
Yeah. So how's that? Sometimes, let's say, when you're doing that kind of work, think, okay, I'm on. You call up your family and friends, say, oh yeah, I'm doing Biker Mice from Mars.
I don't really call it my family.
You don't tell them that? That's what I'm doing now?
No. It's just a job, and it was cool, and I love doing it, and
And then you're doing other things at the same time,
Yeah,
too?
of
You're
course.
booking different things.
Of
So it's kind of a one-day booking? Is that the way you kind of see it?
No, I mean, I did a bunch of episodes. You know, it was like,
No, you did. That's why I mentioned you did a bunch of episodes. Right.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, oh, Lisa, will you do this part? Yes, okay, we're gonna do, you know, and then it goes on as long as it goes, and they let you know when they want you to come in. You come in, you're available, and that's it. And then you're done, and they say, okay, we're not doing them anymore. Okay, bye. See you next time.
And then they're on to another project.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that the producer of that really had done many projects. This was just one of many that he had done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And how do you find those? Do you have an agent who says, "Oh, Lisa, I got this great thing for you"?
Sometimes it's that. Yeah, absolutely. And then sometimes it's just through relationships. I mean, in that case, they came to me. They knew me, and they said, "Would you think you'd be really cute in this? Do this?"
See, they
Are you in town? Yes.
They wanted a Lisa Zane or a Lisa Zane type. Was that it?
A Lisa Zane type. I don't know. Yeah, they wanted me. I was happy to do it. Yeah.
And where are you going to go now? You're going to Chicago?
I'm going to Chicago for a bit, and you know, it's sort of like barnstorming. I want to go, and I'm from there, so I want to take my new record there and, you know, present it and find, you know, the great places to sing there and find musicians there and you know, just be there for a spell.
And once again, give us your website so that it'll be open up in 2 days, right? Your new website. Tell us how we can find you.
www.lisazanemusic.com. It's attached to lisazane.com, which is more of a sort of an archival website, which is online now. But this one is the dedicated music site where you can actually, you know, click on it and buy the record. And you can buy it in its physical form, which I would prefer, but you can also, of course, download it digitally. And
it's nice to have a record because you get to look at the record. It does seem nice. I hate to say I'm old-fashioned. It's nice to have a record.
A lot of people prefer it, you know. So I really wanted to make those available. Yes, and that's it. And you can also listen to clips of all of them. And there's also other things about my music. My first record, which is also available, of course, and you know, songs that I've done in certain films and things, and you can hear those.
Oh, that's right. You wrote songs for films that have been published in films, did you not?
I've sung some songs that I didn't write in films. Like I did a cover of the Roxy Music song "Love Is the Drug" in a kind of a trancey kind of version of it for the movie Monkey Bone, and I sang a beautiful Greek song over the end credits of Coriolanus that came out a couple of years ago. All these you can hear on the website or order, I think. I wrote a couple of songs for a couple of, you know, TV episodes and things like that too. So I love doing that. I love actually writing you know, being asked to write something very, very specific.
And when you did the remake of the Roxy Music song, Roxy Music actually, you know, they were considered a very good band there for quite a while. They you know, people liked Roxy Music. So you were picked because they felt that you would give a sophisticated, different interpretation to it, and they wanted that? Is that so they decided, oh, that Lisa Zane can deliver that?
So I guess that's what it was. I auditioned for that one because I appeared in it too as the Medusa, you know, so that was part of it too. I sort of came in for the audition and they asked me to sing something, and I sang something in French, and it had a sort of chanteuse quality, which is what they were looking for, but with snakes.
Good.
And it was fun. It was fun. I'm sorry the movie didn't do better.
What was the movie again?
Monkey Bone.
Monkey Bone. And who is in that?
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser, right. And when now there's a danger when you do a very well-known song, the people say, "Oh, that wasn't as good as the original." I mean, you could really fall on your face.
This is totally a different treatment. Than Roxy Music, and it's pretty cool. People like it.
Yeah, but when you do an interpretation that people think, "Oh my God, that's a great interpretation," like didn't Joe Cocker make a career of taking very well-known songs and adding his own piece to it? So people thought, "Oh my God, he made that song his own," which is very tough to do, isn't it? I mean, it's really tough to do that.
I would love to hear other people sing my songs. A friend of mine who I used to perform with really loved one of the songs I wrote called Fascinated, and she always wanted to sing it, and I was like, yeah, sing it. And I loved hearing her sing it because she sang it in a way that I would never dream of singing it, you know, and so that's a really exciting thing, you know. I love hearing it when people do it, and I love doing it too, you know.
And as an artist, you realize that you really bring your own personality to material, don't you? I mean, you know, two musicians play the same piano solo or trumpet solo, and yet it sounds different because your personality enters the music.
You bet.
Right.
Your experience, your history, your references, musical and otherwise, everything. Yeah, of course.
Is that something that people know when they're teenagers? I mean, that's the kind of thing you learn as an adult, don't you? That you bring yourself to the art. I mean, you don't know that when you're young, do you? Can you possibly know that?
You must know that. There must be some correlation with what kids do, which I can't quite readily think about right now, where they bring themselves to Duck Duck Goose or whatever. They do it in their own way. I don't know.
It might be more of an adult thing. I'm not exactly sure.
No. I think humans absolutely know that. At any age, they do it their way.
Right.
Quote. Frank
Well, Lisa
again.
Zane, you certainly done it your way with your career. And it's been a great pleasure having you on Here's to Your Health.
Thank you so much.
And what song is this we're playing?
Oh, this is an interesting one. It's called Serenata. It's half an old Neapolitan song and half a rock dirge that I wrote. It's a mashup. Very interesting, I think, kind of hybrid piece of pop music.
Very good, thank you.
Get it, listen.
That sounds good.
Thanks.
So you're hearing Lisa Zane, and this is Josh Lane on LA Talk Live. And we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
My lover said I cry in my sleep. He woke me up to ask why I weep. Tortured, I don't make a sound. I'm bound to silence. My lover said my cuts never heal. He turned the light on to see if they were real. Captive, I just let him look. I'm bound to silence. But if I tell him,
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Young Connection, your one-stop connection for all your graphic design and commercial printing needs. Young Connection is a full-service printing and media design company dedicated to providing the highest level of customer service and satisfaction. Young Connection provides swift response and rapid turnaround services for banners, brochures, business cards, letterheads, church bulletins, funeral programs, flyers, logo design, posters, and much, much more, all at an affordable price. Young Connection, the official printing company of LA Talk Live. Give them a call at 310-491-3336. That's 310-491-3336, or visit their website at www.youngconnection.com. That's www.youngconnection.com. Young Connection Printing and Media Services, proud sponsors of LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk. Hey everyone, this is Richard Carr, Business Relations Manager for LA Talk Live. Did you know social media produces almost double the marketing leads of trade shows, telemarketing, direct mail, or even pay-per-click ads? And that about 46% of all online users count on social media when making that ever-important purchase decision. Hey, if you feel lost when it comes to social media, Top Tier Media can help you. Top Tier Media specializes in social media management and blogger outreach for beauty, fashion, health, and lifestyle brands. To learn more, go to www.toptiermedia.com. That's www.toptiermedia.com. Top Tier Media, the official social media marketing company of LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
And now, host of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network, Yvonne Beauvais. And now, here's Yvonne.
Hello, well, we're back, and I'm here with my very special guest here on Here's to Your Health today. This is Dr. Hilda Maldonado. Excuse me for that, Dr. Hilda Maldonado. I'll say that again. And I want to thank you for being with us today. I'm very proud to have her here today. She's also my doctor, and I have had the opportunity to listen to her speak and to know her background in functional endocrinology and functional medicine. So she's going to tell us a little bit today about all the aspects of a new path that she's taken in her practice with functional medicine.
Hello, Yvonne. Thank you so much. I am so glad to be here with you today. Thank you for the opportunity. And I'm excited to share with you and with all listeners information that will hopefully help people take a second look at themselves and where they're going with their health, and help them take action that will result in wellness for them.
People are really interested in wellness today, and there's a lot of people who are not well today, and some of the old paradigms for taking care of their health have not worked for them. So people are looking for new pathways, for new avenues, and I know that you're offering that through your practice today, correct?
Right.
Yes.
And I've been doing functional medicine for about 20 years now, but somehow it's a popular thing today. And I'll tell you a little bit about me. I am a medical doctor, but I'm not here to replace anybody's doctor or to give any medical advice. Everybody should always check with their doctor before they make any change in their protocols. But what happened with me is that very early in my career, I was attracted to the field of functional medicine because the purpose of it is to find the root cause of the problems for people, and to find the root cause of the imbalances. And, you know, many people just start with imbalances that seem simple and may seem like they're just a nuisance, and then they evolve into symptoms.
Yes.
Then the symptoms become more frequent, and before you know it, you go to your physical, and your fatigue, for example, is one of those, and you're told everything is okay, everything came back normal, but you still don't feel good, and that's very prevalent, particularly with females, and as many hormone imbalances that we're seeing today. And what ends up happening is that our system has been created to cater to crisis intervention.
That's true.
So, you know, do you agree with me that maybe we have a health crisis?
Yes, we have a health crisis, and we need changes in our lifestyle.
We do.
We do. So I know that people have adopted attitudes, and sometimes a little conditioning is involved in that. So what do you see that people need to let go of as far as old paradigms or thinking about their health and how to take care of themselves?
Sure. So it follows this conversation of what we've been kind of trying to do, which is wait until we have enough symptoms that we cannot deal with that situation, and we go and we are stamped with a diagnosis, and maybe you get prescription medications for that. And it's not just me. This is a whole entire movement of physicians that have been in the forefront of health and wellness. That the thinking, and particularly with what I've chosen to do, which is concentrating functional endocrinology, which is, if you know what endocrinology is, it deals with hormones, right?
Yes.
So what I've chosen to do is focus on that because I believe that that's a huge root for people's problems today, and not just prescribe hormones, all the time, but try to find first what the imbalance is and help people get there. And as far as the paradigm is concerned, I'll tell you, for example, pre-diabetes or insulin resistance, right? So insulin resistance is a state in which the body is no longer sensitive to the insulin that's being produced by the pancreas. Therefore, every time that you eat most likely the wrong foods, insulin continues to go up, and fat accumulation increases, and that's a pre-diabetic condition. If the person follows the current linear thinking, most likely they will be given a prescription drug, and I don't have anything against prescription drugs. I mean, I use them, but they need to be used judiciously.
Yes.
And you can take that same person and start teaching them about what are the imbalances that led them there to begin with. Start teaching them about their nutrition. Start cleaning their gut. Deal with any backups that may be happening in the liver.
Right.
Okay. Look at the other hormones like cortisol that could be contributing to that, and stress. And maybe teach them a very simple way that they could exercise that's practical for them. And you can turn that around without ever getting to the diabetes step.
You shared actually a very sweet story with me about a woman who came, and you gave her a very simple way to turn her health around, and you actually told her to take probiotics. And I thought it was lovely. Sometimes it was something as simple, and they have very chronic problems. And you and I both know that the health is in the gut, and serotonin protection, 70% of it is in our gut. So could you please tell our viewing audience today about how health in the gut will affect their whole health and the different aspects of how it will affect their health?
Absolutely. And this is why, we cannot, even if you come to me for a hormone imbalance, I will look at your gut. Because 70% of our immune system is in our gut. And what ends up happening, most chronic disease starts with stress, whether it's physical stress, emotional stress. And then not to mention that we have other causes of stress, like the foods that people are eating, the chemicals on the food, the chemicals on the environment. And what ends up happening is that there's a term that's used that's called dysbiosis or imbalance in the gut, right? And then it's like a teeter-totter that gets off of balance, and before you know it, you have an overpopulation of bacteria that are not beneficial. And the good bacteria are in charge of producing natural antibiotics, and they clean. They're like the little cleaners in the gut.
Yes.
So when you could have people with very complex situations, and at the end, probiotics can just turn them around. But the key here is to be able to individualize.
Yes.
Because, these are things that are readily available, and I get people that have been using them, but they've been using them wrong. So the key is to be able to have a mentor or coach that has the right training, right? And to be able to, as a team, because I don't see people like for me to go fix them. I need them to, I am the guide, and I need people to end up using that to fix themselves. We reestablish the balance, and we reestablish the health of the cells.
I know that you were one of the innovators of using natural hormones for women.
Yeah.
Getting away from all the synthetics and getting them into the natural estrogens and progesterones and the testosterone to bring that hormonal balance back. And while that certainly has its wonderful effects on a woman's body, there were so many things that were being inundated with. We talked about them. We have particulates in the air which are damaging, GMO, high fructose corn syrup, all the many dioxins and chemicals and ready Roundup that's in our food and even grafted in now.
And throwing artificial sweeteners.
Oh my, aspartame's a whole story.
That's a whole show on itself because of all the effects on the nervous system.
Yes, and I'm always so upset when I see the only gum that they offer on the counters these days have aspartame.
And the children.
And the children are chewing it, and that's right next to their brain. It just goes. And then if they have mercury fillings, oh my gosh, then you have a whole compounded process going on. So it is an overwhelm to the human body. So basically what you are doing in functional medicine is helping to bring people to a place of understanding how their bodies work. Is that correct?
Correct. And like I said earlier, is a triple prone effect, in the sense that I will use my background as a medical doctor to understand what's happening with the body, and then I will bring the functional medicine aspects to understand what the underlying root cause is. And then I also have a fellowship in anti-aging medicine. So then I would bring some of the knowledge from anti-aging medicine to the table. And with all that, what we've done is that we've created a structured, systematic approach that I call a curriculum for people to be able to come to the table. We sit knee to knee. I spend as long time as it takes to understand how the person got there. Okay,
Right.
we don't do those 3-minute visits or those 7-minute visits.
Thank heavens.
and we find what exactly is the path that person's body took to get to the problems that they're presenting with, and how we're going to move it backwards.
So let's talk a little bit about chronic disease that we see in the world today, because I know that by treating, going into the root and into the cause, some of this chronic disease that we're seeing, the body wants to heal itself. We're
Right.
talking about the body healing itself.
Exactly.
Will you tell us a little bit about the things that you're seeing in your practice in today's world?
Oh my goodness, is incredible. Well, let me just ask you: do you think that diabetes is going down or going up?
Oh, it's going up.
All right. And do you think that problems with cardiovascular disease are going down or going up?
I'd say with all the stress in today's world, it's
They're
definitely
going
going
up.
up.
Right? Is cancer going down or going up?
It's going
Oh.
up.
So we all know that, and everybody's shaking their head of why is this happening, and it's because we're not taking the time to understand what were the imbalances that led that person there. And I think that we all can agree that if we took some time to clean the gut and optimize the liver function, and if we took some time to look at imbalances in the body and how to correct them, we could improve probably 99. I mean, I'm just going to throw a big number out there, about 90% of chronic disease, because the thing is that chronic disease today is a lifestyle disease.
Yes, I agree with that.
It's an issue of lifestyle. And what happens is that there's very well meant people, whether they're patients or doctors, that understand that they need to do lifestyle changes, but they haven't been, they're told, do this, do that, but you're not being shown.
Yes.
Or put in a system where you're going to be successful. And so chronic disease, and then if we get talking about the immune system, we could be here for another hour, because again, 70% of the immune system is in the gut, and you can see a lot of chronic disease happening with anti-thyroid antibodies, Hashimoto's issues, lots of even ladies with positive anti-nuclear antibodies being told you don't fit my criteria for lupus yet, but you're forming antibodies. There's people forming antibodies against their own gastrointestinal lining from the things that they're eating. And then all that, if you pair that with something else that's called leaky gut and food sensitivities, I mean, is on and on and on. It's a downhill spiral. So what we want to do is we want to get in there and do a thorough evaluation of the person and address what are the issues that need to be dealt with: nutrition, gastrointestinal health, detoxification, hormone balance, what's the right exercise. But everybody has a different order on that.
True.
For you, it may be that there's no way you can even think of any of that until your hormones get balanced. Because if you have low thyroid, you're not going to be able to think. You have foggy brain, you have fatigue, you cannot get out of the bed. If your adrenals are off, you're going to have a lot of those symptoms compounded. And the issue is, how do you do it each person at a time?
Right.
You know, change health one person at a time.
The adrenal situation, I've lived through this one, and you feel like you're going to fall off the edge of the planet. You just lose your ability to even cope, and it has nothing to do with your own cognitive abilities.
Absolutely.
It has to do with your adrenals not functioning and the cortisol levels now almost being exhausted.
Exactly.
And you have a meltdown basically because of stress. I'd like to talk a little bit about stress, because I realize that all these factors contribute, but we haven't talked about the big one,
Yeah.
which is stress.
It's stress. But let me share something with you because I know this firsthand. Okay, through stress and pushing, and maybe not making the right choices, which is why I preach to make the right choices. 10 years ago, I ended up flatline. I ended up flatline with exhausted in the morning, exhausted at noon, exhausted in the afternoon. In order to go on a vacation, my husband had to physically carry myself, pack for myself and my daughter. So I can tell you about adrenal fatigue and adrenal burnout. And the only thing that has brought me back has been addressing all these issues systematically, just like we're talking about. And it's for the grace of God that I have been introduced to this kind of approach for me to even be here today talking to you. Because stress is crazy. It comes emotional, physical, the foods, just everything we've talked about. And just a little pearl out there for the ladies that are listening. Listen, we need to be in tune with the world events. But we don't need to be watching the news every day.
I agree.
Read a book.
Women
grab a cup of tea.
Receive that differently than men. Women handle that kind of stressful news differently. Men, it's kind of like water off a duck's back. But for a woman, it's not, because she's security-minded, and she hears all the fear and everything that's coming off the television and the news, but she takes it in, and it works on her system and her brain differently than it does the male brain, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's studies that have shown that if you're a female and you watch the news every day, you will have a higher incidence of depression.
Interesting. And does that affect their blood pressure also?
Well,
can it?
It will depend. If your adrenals are burned out, your blood pressure, yes, will be low. And if you're still on the rise with insulin resistance and high cortisol, then your blood pressure will be high. So it depends.
So I heard you speak one day, and you said that 96% of a person's health is within their own hands to take care of themselves. So that means we have a high percentage of involvement in our own wellness and in our own health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is why this curriculum has turned out to be so successful, because we are we're providing people with an opportunity to take action. And then not only because it's not about information, right? You can have
action.
Information is about action.
Action.
And if it wasn't for action, and this is why so many people are discouraged, by the way. They've tried so many things, but they haven't been given a structure approach where they can take action. And it is it's a day to day. I call it a day at a time, a step at a time. We map out and we decide how this person's changes need to start happening, and it's a conversation, because also it's not just about me telling you do this, do that, do that. Right. It has to be about a conversation of where you go, listen, I am ready to do this and that. Can we start there?
Let's start right there, because that's really a good point about when a person is ready to do something. It says that when you're ready, the teacher appears.
Exactly.
So you have to be ready, and if you are resistant in any way, then you'll probably just stay sick. But it's when you're ready to lay down the old paradigms, and you're ready to lay down the old thinking, and you're actually ready to physically, mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually make changes. And I know that you see this all the time. Would you elaborate a little bit more on when the person is ready? Because that's a huge key to your wellness and health.
Well, what I do is I do an exploratory process, because I have to tell you that just because a person is not ready doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that person.
That's good to know.
It just means they're not ready.
Right, okay.
There's nothing wrong with any person that's not there yet. Okay. But what I have been doing is offering pre-education. Excellent. So one of the things that we'll do at the end is we're going to give a web address, and listeners will have the opportunity to go in and message me and have the opportunity to attend a dinner presentation. And or maybe we can do it in any other form if there's somebody that lives far. But the pre-education part of things is so important, because through that is when you start changing you understand.
Yes.
I mean, believe me, there are people listening in here today that this is the first time they hear this kind of conversation.
That's true.
For others, it is normal.
Yes.
Like for you, this is normal.
It's normal, yes.
Because you've already been pre-educated.
Yes.
So how we go about that process is, I choose, this is what I choose personally. I choose to work with A and B students.
Okay.
Because there's no point on pushing somebody that's not ready to go through a process. But you know what? People self-select themselves. They understand when they get educated, they go, oh my goodness, this makes perfect sense. Particularly, and again, I'm going to come back with hormones and females. There's females that are fatigued, that have fibromyalgia, that have all these chronic issues. And they have been told that basically what they need is they need to be in antidepressants because there's no other choice.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, that's so sad. That breaks my heart just to hear you say those words, and I know that that's true.
But it's true. It's true. So I don't know if this answers your question, but it is a process of discovery.
And I think when someone's ready, they're willing to do the disciplines. And I've noticed for most people, it's when they've reached a certain level of suffering. They've really suffered with the debilitation of being sick. Their joy for life has been reduced. They're no longer physically active and doing the things they used to do. And their joints hurt and their head hurts and they're in a fog. And I mean, the symptoms go on. And that's not living.
Absolutely.
And we're designed to live to our very last breath.
And you and I know that we're in this earth because we all have a purpose.
Yes.
And fortunately for myself, this is my purpose. I believe that this is exactly where God wants me to be. And I know this is your purpose because you share some of your desires. And the thing is that everybody has a purpose, but we cannot achieve our purpose unless we have our health.
It's you and I talked about that one time, that everyone's going for the money and everybody's going for the gold. But what happens when your health fails you? You wind up taking everything that you've earned only to regain your health back. So to have your health is the most important thing. Because once you have that, there's almost nothing that you can't do or accomplish in this world that will bring, everybody needs finances, it's just the way of the world. But if it becomes your goal and you lose your health over it, then it was that saying, if you lose your soul to gain the world, you've lost everything. The whole thing is to keep your soul, keep your health.
Right.
And it will come back to you.
Right. And on that subject, what happens is that we've been conditioned to believe that there is some sort of a card that we're going to carry in our pocket that's going to take care of our health. But that's not a health card. That's a sickness card. Because it only works if we're sick. It doesn't purchase you organic food. It doesn't purchase you a gym membership. It doesn't purchase you an education. So we have to hopefully carry our card and use it if we absolutely need to, right? In a crisis situation.
Emergency,
but in the meantime, continue to learn how to become empowered, because that's where I get the biggest joy, is to empower people and lead them to be independent.
That's what a mother does with her children also. It's that same thing that I think women are just really good at nurturing people to become more and to be all they can be. I attended one of your seminars and I was really touched by, I don't remember if she was a nurse or a nurse practitioner, but she was talking about healthcare, and she said the saddest thing for her was that the word care has been taken out of healthcare. And what I see that you're doing is that you put the word care back into taking care of your health. So will you tell us a little bit, because people need to be nurtured.
Yes.
They need to feel love. They need to feel that the person that's there to help them cares about them. Will you talk a little bit to us about what care means to you?
Well, let me tell you something. I'll define it really simple. The way that I care, and this has come after many years of working in a different way and even getting to adrenal fatigue like we talked about.
Oh, yes.
But what I've discovered that works the best is that I don't consider I'm not responsible for you, but I'm responsible to you.
I understand that.
So that's how I care, by being responsible to people and bringing them the truth and the most accurate information that I can.
Well, I want everyone to find out how they can get in touch with you today. So if you would give them your website, your email, your phone number, just let them know how to reach Dr. Hilda Maldonado.
It's really simple. You can message me and you go to DRM, purepassionwellness.com. D like in David, R, M like in Maldonado, at purepassionwellness.com. And if you need a phone number, you can also reach me at 805-496-8446. 805-496-8446. And on the DRM at purepassionwellness.com, you can message, and that will go straight to my email.
Well, I'm here to tell you that Dr. Hilda Maldonado is a woman of passion, and your website perfectly depicts and explains what you're all about, because you're passionate about the people that you care for and the people that you help to once again attain a whole life and wellness in their health. And so I really thank you, Dr. Maldonado, for being here with us today. And I would like to thank our viewing and listening audience for tuning into our conversation. And I'm always thrilled when people have direction in how to take care of their health so that they can live vivacious, joyful, full, and meaningful lives. So thank you for tuning in with us today on Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live. This is Yvonne Beauvais, your wellness correspondent. We're going to take a little station break here, and then we're going to be right back for another show. So stay tuned.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.
Have you been struggling for answers to life's challenges? Of course you have. Now, for the first time ever, you can ask, what's your life purpose? Or how to attract your soulmate, and more. Next weekend, all day Saturday, March 29th, 2014, at the Modern Day Prophet event. It's the first of its kind, with angel readers, astrologers, neurologists, physicists, and many more. Just email kecinfo@yahoo.com. Now, the first 10 emails get a free ticket for listening to LA Talk Live Radio. All other emails will get a 2-for-1 ticket. Proceeds benefits all the sick children from the Make a Film Foundation. Once again, the email is kecinfo@yahoo.com. For the link to the event's website, your free ticket, or your 2-for-1 ticket for listening to LA Talk Live right away. Space is limited.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Indian Tyler inviting you to join me beginning April 9th every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Indian Tyler's Beyond the Vanity. Join me as we go beyond the vanity and discuss the real life issues of beauty. And it gets really real. So on April 9th, don't forget to tune in to Indian Tyler's Beyond the Vanity Wednesdays at 2 p.m. exclusively exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, Radio Flag, and AHA Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey, this is James Kinney, inviting you to join me every Thursday at noon for the Business of Business. Join us as we discuss success and how to reach it. Listen, don't forget to join me every Thursday at noon Pacific Standard Time for the Business of Business, exclusively here on LA Talk Live. Hey, and don't forget, you can also catch me on iTunes Radio R&B, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio, or just watch and listen directly at latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk. Murked it.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My guest is Matthew Luton, who, after suffering a variety of health problems, worked out a formulation called Pressure Ease, which helps with sinus congestion and the nasal passages, and it's used widely in the airline industry. Matthew, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So was that a reasonably good intro for the Pressure Ease?
It was. It was. Did a nice job.
And you got involved with it because you didn't feel very well, and you thought there was a place for this product?
Right. It all started out of a personal need. I was always sick while working for the airlines. Years ago, I was a flight attendant on the planes. My ears were always blocked for landing. It was major problem, as a lot of people experience themselves
yes, they
as
do
well.
That. And if you fly every day, that could really be a problem.
Big problem for a lot of airline people. So what was happening is I was grounded so much, the medical department wouldn't let me fly. And because I lost so many days at work, they were threatening to fire me. So I had to figure out a way to stay healthy so that I could keep the job, or I was going to be out of a job. That's how it started.
Well, being out of a job seems like a very bad thing. So what was the science behind this? I mean, were you reading some health books? Did you chat with a friend or a pharmacist or an MD who told you about this? I mean, how did you come up with this?
It really was by chance. It started out, I was experimenting with just about anything you could think of that I heard would work, whether it was the paper cups over the towels with, the cups with the paper towels in them over the ears, and one crazy thing after the other that people do on the airlines all the time.
Chew gum?
Chew gum, but nothing consistently worked. And one day I just happened to be experimenting with saline. And what I didn't know is that different levels of salt and pH can actually create a different response in the sinus. And I started playing around with the different levels, and I happened to stumble across a level that quickly opened up my ears. And I wasn't sure if I had really stumbled across something that worked or whether it was a coincidence. So every time my ears were blocked, I'd run in the bathroom and I would make it up. I had made notes exactly what I used, and I would try it, and it worked. And after developing it for probably a year to actually get it down, I knew exactly what it was and why it worked and how it worked. I actually started giving it out to passengers when I saw that they were in pain for landing, sent them into the bathroom, and every time someone would come out, they would give me a thumbs up, and after a while, people started asking me, why aren't you selling this stuff?
All right,
so here
Steve,
I am.
So Steve, once again, what was the formulation you put together that worked for you? It was different types of salt.
Well, it's the combination of the actual salt levels, how much salt to water, and then the pH as well. And that is
salt level to water and the pH of the salt.
Right, right. Or pH that's created by the salt. It's a combination. You actually set the pH at a certain level, as well as the salt, setting it at certain levels, and that's what we did. And it was different enough that I was able to actually patent it. So it is patented.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
And it took you 5 years to put this together?
Actually, it started over 15 years ago, so it's been a long time. And for years, people have asked me if I was going to put it on the market. And in 2008, I started working on it again and rolled it out a couple of years ago and put it on the market. And it's doing really well. I really wanted to put it on the market to help people and get a really good response from people. And that makes me feel good.
And friends and colleagues in the airline profession, have they embraced it?
Absolutely. A lot of flight attendants and pilots have been using it. The Navy SEALs Navy SEALs training centers have been using it to keep the divers' ears open and keep their sinuses clear as well.
That's very nice.
Yeah, and some of the I don't know if I should be saying it. I think some of the Chargers have been using it, and other some Olympic players have been using it. It works. That's what's nicest about it, is that it's a very simple product. It's very clean, and it is preservative free as well. So it's all natural and preservative free, and it works very fast.
That's good, preservative free, because people, not everyone, but a lot of people like to be cautious. So how, I see there's two here. So are they different? Are they the same? What are they?
They're close. Pressure Ease, the original one for adults on the right, is it's very gentle. Pressure Ease for kids is a little extra gentle because for little noses.
Smaller,
their tissue is different.
They weigh less, and so
they're still growing and developing, so the tissue in their sinus is a little bit more sensitive.
I see.
Yeah.
And how do I use it?
Very easy. You remove the white safety seal there and pump it a couple times to fill the chamber because it is metered. There's quite a bit in there. Look, it's a little bottle, but it's very compact and holds there's 120 spray pumps in there.
I see.
So what you do is I tell people, follow directions exactly. Once you fill the chamber, then while you're inhaling, 3 times just spray it on each side while you're inhaling. Wait 30 seconds, then blow your nose, then do it again, and then blow your nose. And you'll see how fast it works. For me, it's always worked within seconds. It starts to work, and with minutes, everything's open. You can breathe.
Okay, so then when you were a pilot, when you worked for the flight attendant for the airline industry, you had what? You had pain in your ears from landing?
Landing.
Off? You had pain in your ears.
A lot of times the eustachian tube would close, and that's what happens with a lot of people. And many people don't realize that there's a connection between the sinus and the inner ear through the back of the throat where the eustachian tube is. So when we're congested and that closes off, sometimes it doesn't matter how much gum you're going to chew or what you do.
Right.
It's swollen, it's closed. And so what Pressure Ease does is it when you inhale it, coats the sinus, hits the back of the throat where the eustachian tube is, and it causes that response when everything just opens up quickly.
Well, actually, this seems like an important idea because, people, if you can't breathe and your sinuses are blocked, and obviously you can't fly if you're a professional traveler, and you can't fly, you'll be in pain all the time. You don't even want to do it. You don't want to go on the airlines. So you just decided you'd read a lot. You tried a lot of different things personally.
Absolutely.
That didn't really work for you. And this you found just through Through trial and error, like a little bit Thomas Edison here, kind of trial and error?
Right. It was just from trial and error. I started experimenting with a lot of different things. Anything that I heard worked, and stumbled again across saline and started experimenting with saline, where most people think that saline, again, is just water and salt mixed together. Well, that's true. That's what we call saline, but that's like saying car, and there's many kinds of cars.
Right.
There are many different types of salines, again, depending on the levels of salt and pH, and that's what a lot of people don't know.
Alrighty. So let me hear the application once again for my listeners. So I don't feel good. Well, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but let's say I decide I'm going to use the product. So let me hear the procedure once again.
For flying,
Yeah.
I recommend that people use it 30 minutes before takeoff and 30 minutes before you land.
All right.
And so I would, again, you follow directions exactly. So while inhaling, you would spray it 2 times.
So let me hear the direction. So I obviously take off all the protective packaging, and then I put this little nozzle up my nose and I spray it 3 times?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's a very fine, gentle mist. It's not a stream. It's a fine mist. So it's really easy to use. And kids are fine with it. Kids love it. They think it's a toy, so you have to take it away from the kids.
So I do it 3 times in each nostril.
Right. 3 times in each nostril while inhaling. Wait 30 seconds. blow your nose, and do it again. You want to repeat that twice.
And then you're good. And then when you're going to land, you do it again. Is that it?
Yeah, I would do it before you land. Same thing. Just typically 30 minutes out is when the plane starts to descend. So you want to do it before. I would do it before you start to descend. It's like why wait to have a problem? Use it ahead of time so everything is always clear and you don't have problems.
And of course, every person who uses it would have to have their own bottle. You would never share bottles.
Right. It's always best to have your own bottle. And
it seems like it'd be important. You wouldn't want to share it at all.
Well, what's interesting about the packaging that we've put the product into, it's preservative free. There are 2 one-way valves, microvalves, built into the pump. So as you're pumping it, everything is going one way and out. It can't return back into the packaging to contaminate it. So it's very special packaging.
Good for you.
It's all medical grade. It's a pretty interesting high-tech little product.
Yes, and the idea of it, we were chatting in the green room earlier, the idea of being preservative free, I think that's very important and very desirable, and it shows it's a nice, I don't know, is this a medical device? Is that actually how it's being sold?
It actually is. The packaging actually is. And it's nice because it fits, it's so small it fits into your pocket or your purse for traveling as well. It's, again, all high-end medical packaging. The plastics, there's no BPAs in it, so it's a very clean and safe product. And not having preservatives, which is something that always bothered me, especially with a nasal spray, you don't have those bad taste from the preservatives. It's just
oh my goodness,
very
that's an issue. Oh, that's definitely an issue.
Some people have reactions to it
They
as well,
could.
to preservatives.
Yeah, they certainly could. Well, that's impressive. And so the pressure ease, we have an adult pressure ease and a children's pressure ease. And the difference is the children's is somewhat less concentrated?
It's just formulated a little bit differently to be a little more extra gentle for
And the
children.
reason for that is because they weigh less?
No, it's more because children are more sensitive. Their sinuses are still developing, and they're much more sensitive than we are as adults.
And where can I buy these?
You can buy them all over the West Coast. If you're on the East Coast and you're looking for the product and you don't find it yet in the stores, which it will be soon, you can find it online also at pressurease.com. Again, it's PRESSUREZ, and it's .com, and that will connect to the Amazon site, or you can go directly to Amazon. It's also in a number of stores all over the West Coast, starting from San Diego, where we originally rolled it out, Jimbo's, Fraser Farms, Seaside Market. It's in some of the Sprouts down there. And moving north into Orange County, Mother's Market, Lassen's.
Mother's is a great chain. Lassen's a great chain.
Lassen's.
So all
And
the
Whole
major
Foods as well.
players have decided this product is a quality product and have picked you up.
Right. And it's Whole Foods all
That's great
over.
advertising for them, and Whole Foods all over.
Yeah.
Wow. And what does it retail
And Clark's
for?
too. I want to mention also
Oh, and
Clark's in the Inland Empire.
Oh, yeah,
in
Clark's
their
is great.
stores, they brought it in as well.
Yeah, Clark's are very important.
Yeah, good
and what's the retail on these?
Retail is anywhere between $11.99 and $12.99 right now.
Which seems reasonable. And again, this will last me, if I'm a frequent traveler, like a month and a half or something?
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on how much you use it. Traveling, it lasts you quite a while. There's 120 sprays in it. I did want to mention also for sinus issues, if you have problems with your sinuses, try Pressure Ease, because again, it just clears everything out and everything opens up so you can breathe.
Well, sinus issues really affect a lot of people. A lot of people have trouble with their sinuses. Do you have any other recommendations for sinus issues rather than just Pressure Ease? Do you ever work with food at all? Do you see that food is a factor in these kind of sinus conditions?
Personally, I haven't, other than maybe certain kinds of drinks or things if it has something in it, or with wheat. Sometimes I've had issues as well with my sinuses, getting congestion. From
kind of an
certain
allergic
things.
response,
Yeah,
possibly, as you see it.
And I have used it for
Sensitivity?
that, and it's worked great.
I see.
Yeah.
And do you have any colleagues who are physicians who have made any comments on the product?
Yes, as a matter of fact. There are a number of doctors who are already recommending. There's some doctors from Scripps that are already recommending it.
Scripps in San Diego?
Scripps
Or
in
are they
San
in La
Diego.
Jolla? Where are they?
Scripps in La Jolla.
La Jolla.
Yeah. And they're already telling people about it and recommending it to their patients as well, because again, it's all natural and it's clean.
Well, Scripps obviously is an important research center. Now, you also did mention in passing that this is being tested now by naval personnel?
Well, the Navy SEALs have been using it for just over 3 years. They've been using it very successfully. They love it for diving. And I had mentioned earlier when we were speaking that there is actually a Navy submarine training center that found out about Pressure Ease, and they're interested in actually testing it up against a lot of the other products that they've already tested that didn't work, and they're very interested in it.
Well, it's nice to sell to the armed forces to some sort of kind of a specialized product like this that is no preservatives, so clean. It's nice that it helps to keep the men healthy. Obviously, they've got to be at the top of their game health-wise. They can't have sinus infections. They can't have postnasal drip. They can't have sinus headaches and function very well.
Right, perfects performance. There's no question about it.
No, Matthew, it's great. So once again, I can buy Pressure Ease in all the natural foods chains: Whole Foods, Mother's, Lassen's, Jimbo's, Clark's.
Some of the Sprouts have it, and we hope that they'll be rolling it out to all their stores soon.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And once again, it's about $11.95, $12.95?
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, $11.99, $12.99.
Give us your contact information once again, please.
I will. You can go to the website at pressureeze.com, and again, pressureze.com. And read all about the product, read about myself as well and how it all started. And when you click on the buy button, it goes right to Amazon, and you can buy it through Amazon as well if you're on the East Coast, or if it's more convenient for you as well.
Well, Matthew, thank you for being a guest today on Here's to Your Health.
Thank you.
Very kind
nice
of you.
to be here. I appreciate you having me.
It was fun. You've been listening to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Susie Pruden. And yes, you've seen me on Oprah, Good Morning America, and Today's Show. And I'm inviting you to join me every Monday from 3 to 4 for my new show, Mastermind Live. Join us as we introduce you to the new thought leaders of the world who will inspire you, support you, and guide you to your next level. So don't forget to tune into Mastermind Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network. And now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Indian Tyler inviting you to join me beginning April 9th every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Indian Tyler's Beyond the Vanity. Join me as we go beyond the vanity and discuss the real life issues of beauty. And it gets really real. So on April 9th, don't forget to tune in to Indian Tyler's Beyond the Vanity Wednesdays at 2 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, Radio Flag, and AHA Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My next guest, Steve Ryan, has been a guest on Here's to Your Health before, and he wrote a book called Beat Your a-fib. Atrial fibrillation is a problem that affects many people in the United States, and Mr. Ryan had a bad experience and did his own investigation and wrote a very good book on the subject. And Mr. Ryan, of course, has a PhD from Ohio State and also was an executive at ABC and later for NBC. Steve Ryan, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you for having me on your show.
No, it's a great pleasure to have you here. Now, for the guests who don't know the term a-fib, what does a-fib mean?
Atrial fibrillation is a heart disease, or more properly, it's an electrical problem in the heart. Normally your heart is supposed to pump, the upper part of your heart is supposed to pump down blood into the lower part, and that's supposed to go to the rest of your body. In atrial fibrillation, instead of that pumping action, the upper part of the heart fibrillates, quivers, shakes very fast, sometimes as many as 300 beats a minute. And what happens is that you don't get enough blood going to the rest of your body. You feel dizzy, fatigued, tired. You have a greatly increased risk of stroke because blood isn't being pumped out. Clots can form in that when the blood stagnates in the upper part of your heart, and then when it starts pumping again, those clots can break loose and cause a stroke.
So these are serious issues.
Yes.
These are serious issues, not a joke. So when were you given the diagnosis that you had problems with a-fib?
In 1997, I was working on the soap opera Days of Our Lives, and it felt like when you first have an a-fib attack, it's very frightening. It's not immediately life-threatening, but it's very frightening because it feels like your heart is going to jump out of your chest, or like you have mice rolling bowling balls inside your heart.
Not a good feeling.
It's horrible. Right. And you run to the ER. By the time I got there, the episode had finished.
So you were on the set. Is that it?
Actually, I was at home at night when it happened. But when I'd be on the set, I'd have an attack, and I'd get dizzy, and I'd start grabbing people, and they say, "Get out of here! You can't work while you're feeling like." And so I had to go on disability, and I basically locked myself in a medical library and read everything I could about how to get cured, and I basically wound up going over to France and getting what is called a catheter ablation. They run a catheter through a vein in your groin, run it up into your heart, and burn off the spots that are producing these extra pulses. Now, this was back in '98. You don't have to go to France anymore. There are thousands of doctors here in the U.S. who do
But
it.
when you were doing investigation on this subject, that procedure was not in the United States.
Yes.
It was kind of seen as progressive, but the
Yes.
French were doing it, and we were not. Now we're doing it.
Yes, now we're doing it, yes.
And again, so you have your PhD in what subject?
Educational communications.
From Ohio State.
From Ohio State University, yes.
Yeah. And so for many years you were an educator?
Yes. I taught at Pepperdine University here in town and at a number of different institutions.
So really, with all your educational background, you know how to study.
Yes.
Which is it's a skill. Okay, so you know how to study. So where did you go, and what did you read about a-fib? Because to some extent you were unhappy with the way you were being treated by your physicians. Is that not correct?
Oh yes, indeed. Well, they didn't know. It's not their fault. They just didn't know.
Well, it is their
how
fault.
To fix it. No.
I mean, if the plumber doesn't fix the plumbing in the house, and you didn't fix the plumbing. If the car doesn't work, I'm not fixing. You didn't mechanic.
Right.
So like when you go to the physician, and obviously your health is very important. It's not a lark. You really want them to be up on the subject, and they just were. What were they recommending for you that you thought?
Medications, and I tried every medication known to man at that time. Useless.
What
or
kind
worse.
of medications?
The worst one was amiodarone, which had me coughing up blood and erection problems.
Coughing up blood.
Oh yeah, it affects your lungs. I mean, amiodarone is a very toxic med that in some people affects the lungs.
And what year was that being used? In the late 90s?
This was in '97.
Are they still using that medication?
Yes, unfortunately they are. I warn people not to take it, but it has its uses. For instance, if you just want to use it for 3 months after a catheter ablation, just to train the heart to work properly again, yeah, that's okay. Some people are on amiodarone for years, and that's crazy. That's crazy.
So your physician point where they weren't necessarily thrilled to see you because you were not. Is that what happened? I mean, you hate to be browbeat by your physician, don't you? You think to yourself, well, I'm not. I have a health problem. You're supposed to be the physician. I'm here, and they think, oh God, we don't want to talk to him. What was that like for you?
Well, when you've never had something like this, your first impulse is to trust the doctor and do whatever they say.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you find out that ain't working. Right. So then you just have
then
to.
You're kind of scared. You think,
yeah,
oh my God.
Yeah. Then you have to just do everything you can and to learn about it. What I did was I wrote this book so that people won't have to go through what I went through.
Beat your a-fib, right.
And you have to learn about it, and you have to be proactive. You have to take specific steps to be cured. And you can be cured as long as you follow the steps in the book.
Were there any triggers that, based on your reading, you recognized these are factors for some of the people with a-fib? Is there anything like, for example, let's say a person, drinks alcohol or drinks coffee or drinks soda. Do any of those really, in some people, contribute to a-fib?
Alcohol is a definite trigger of a-fib. Many people are hospitalized on Mondays because they've been drinking too much over the weekend.
Right. Okay. So if they know that, it's still, you hate to have that terrible chest pain of mice throwing bowling balls, but if the physician says, well, listen, were you drinking over the weekend? And they say yes, then people think, okay, so now I know why this is happening. So is there less worry then for the patients because the patients know the origin of the problem or one of the origins?
Yes and no. Once a-fib starts, unfortunately, it's hard to stop it. It helps. Anyone with a-fib just has to stop drinking, period. There's
in your opinion?
Oh, yes, in my opinion, yes. I drink now, but I don't have it. But anyone with a-fib, that's a definite trigger.
So we talk all alcohol, not beer, wine, whatever, it's all alcohol. It's all alcohol.
Yes. But not necessarily coffee. Coffee is a stimulant, and sometimes it affects some people badly, but other people it's protective. They've done a study in Belgium where they drink much more coffee than we do, and they found that people who drank more coffee were protected from developing a-fib.
All right.
Go figure. No one would have figured that.
Is afibrillation a newer diagnosis? People talk about this in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Was there afibrillation at that time? Was it even mentioned?
No, it wasn't. It was considered an arrhythmia, generally
just
considered
arrhythmia.
an arrhythmia, and they didn't have any specific name for it. But certainly it's more prevalent today because people are living longer, and it's a disease that seems to come with age.
I see.
In other words, someone in their 80s has a 1 in 10 chance of having a-fib, whereas someone in their 40s, it's rare.
Okay, so what was it called again before it was called a-fib?
Arrhythmia.
Just a broad term arrhythmia.
Yes, a broad term arrhythmia.
And what about the use of? So what is the preventative stuff that you mentioned in your book that people can do?
One of the things is magnesium. Everyone is deficient in magnesium, and it's not our fault. It's just that our land has been so overfarmed that much of the magnesium has been taken out of the soil. So you have to make an effort to get the right foods, to get supplements, to get more magnesium into your diet, such as by green leafy vegetables, beans, fish like halibut, that kind of thing.
So are you eating more of that now?
I wish I could say I was. I'm not very good on a diet.
No?
I'm just terrible. I take a lot of supplements, but I don't watch my food as well as I should. I admit it.
But theoretically, it'd be better to watch your food.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. Yes. But I free for 16 years, so I figure I'm pretty much well protected. Whatever I did, it doesn't seem to be coming back.
But would you say, having been an educator and obviously good student, and having that terrible problem of a-fib, do you know more about wellness now than you did 16 years ago? Has it been something you've just studied because it's just kind of in the air?
I wish I could say I were better at eating the right foods. I'm not. And I recognize that as a deficiency in me. But I'm certainly much more aware of various things that are going on in the health field and in maintaining proper health. And I exercise a lot. I do all the things that a normal person should do.
And exercise, in your opinion, is good for you?
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes.
And can I ask what you do for exercise?
Well, I'm a master's track runner. I run 50, 100, 200 meters, 5Ks.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm not super fast. I usually finish in the back of the pack. If I'm lucky, I get a third place. But I'm very good in the long jump. I really do well in the long jump for some reason.
You run 5K now?
Yes. Yeah.
And what do you do 5K in?
Oh, just terrible. I don't even want to mention it. It's just...
But you do 5K, which is like, that's a nice thing to do. And you're in your early 70s?
Yes, 73. Like my 100 is... I'm trying to get under 18 seconds, which is nothing to write about.
All right. But yet you enjoy the sport.
Yes,
I
love it. I just can't wait to get out on the track.
Do you run around in Pepperdine? Is that
yes?
Because they have a great facility there.
Well, I usually run at Malibu High School, which also has a good track. But once in a while at Pepperdine.
And can I ask, since you're offering health advice, do you recommend that people run on a track rather than on pavement?
I run on pavement when I do a 5K. It all depends on the quality of your knees and whether you're taking glucosamine chondroitin and are building up your knees, because if you're not doing the health things necessary, your knees can deteriorate.
If you run on pavement, don't you promote your knees deteriorating quicker?
Yes, indeed.
I'm not trying to bait you. I'm just trying to.
No, you're right. You're right.
I'm just asking. I like prevention. I like to prevent stuff from happening.
No, I really prefer running on a tartan surface track. It's like running on air. No, I'm exaggerating, but it's really very comfortable.
And so, did you go to Pepperdine University and did you study at their library, getting this information? And what sources did you pull from? And what things did you know at one time about a-fib that you decided 10, 15 years later, no, that didn't work?
Well, at that time I was in different libraries, and actually what's funny is that I could have stopped my research the second day. The second day I found this article by this Dr. Hayseguer in France, and he explained how he developed this procedure to cure a-fib. But, I said, France, they can't know anything, right?
Yeah, okay.
So I just filed it away. And then later on, you kept running across this guy's name all the time, and you see all the results that he did. And finally, after 6 months, I decided to give him to write him, and I was their first U.S. patient.
And so was it an outpatient procedure?
No, not for me. At that time, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Were you late 50s at this point? Late?
Yes.
Late
Uh-huh.
50s?
Uh-huh.
So pretty young. They're
Yes.
not too very old.
Yeah. Relatively young to get.
Has your weight's always been the same? Were you heavier at one time?
No, I'm a little bit more heavy than I am than I used to be then.
So your problem wasn't a weight problem as a young man. You're never a big fatty, and that wasn't okay.
But
did you use a lot of salt?
I used a fair amount. I didn't really watch my diet that much.
Do you use less salt now?
Yes.
And do you find if you use too much salt, what happens to you? Do you just get puffy?
I don't really notice.
Okay.
I don't really notice. But I sweat so much that I sweat copiously, so that any extra salt I have comes right out.
Alrighty. Okay, so I hate to beat you up too much.
No, that's right.
So you don't pay much attention to what you're eating. I mean, you should, but really, in essence, you don't really.
Yes, I don't. I'm lazy.
Okay.
I'm
So now we've established that. I thought, okay, very good. But you are the author of Beat Your a-fib, and how has the book been received?
very well. It's never going to be a bestseller. If we sell,
why is it too confrontational?
No, it's a niche book. It's not for so people in their 40s. 1 out of 4 people will get a-fib in their lifetime, but that's a small number compared to say a bestseller.
Right.
So, but the people who read it really like it because it provides not only factual information, but it gives them hope. And what I mean by hope is that it gives them. We put together 17 stories of different patients who've been cured of their a-fib, and we took all kinds of different examples. People who've had a-fib for 8 weeks, people who've had a-fib for 30 years and have been cured. So people read these stories and they can identify with at least one of the stories, right. And they know that, hey, I can be cured.
And when people have a-fib, they think, "Oh, I'm going to die." Is that you think?
Oh yeah, it's
very
frightening.
in the chest, you're going to die.
It's terribly frightening. Yes.
Do you get a headache too with it?
Yes, on occasion. That's not usual, but sometimes.
And the symptoms are just beating of the chest, and you think I better go sit down. I better go to the ER.
Yep, right.
And you get a headache. Any of the symptoms?
Dizziness, fatigue, anxiety is a big thing.
Really?
Oh yes, because one of the problems is once you had your first a-fib attack, you say, what's going on? What's going on?
Right.
And is this going to come again? And you're worried about it. And the psychological and emotional effects of a-fib are almost as bad as the disease. They're hard to cope with.
Oh my God, I'm going to die next time this happens. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, not much fun.
Mm.
And what does your wife think about the a-fib? Did your wife support you in this effort? Does she have a-fib herself? Your wife?
No, she doesn't. And thank heavens. But she was the one who designs the book. She wrote part of the book. She did that banner. She is the sort of my editor and the one who will set me straight.
Sure. That's very nice.
She will tell me if I'm writing in medicalese or I'm writing above, trying to write too complicated, and tell me just what are the facts, give it to them.
And a-fib, it affects men and women equally.
No, it doesn't. It affects men more. It's more devastating for women because women aren't treated properly. All too many women go to their cardiologist, and the cardiologist says, "Oh, it's all in your mind," or "Take a Valium."
Oh, they still do that, really?
Oh, yeah, they get a lot of that. So women tend to get treated later in life when the disease has progressed more, and they tend to get more complications because of that.
I see.
Women have to be really careful and insist on getting the right treatment.
But women can get a-fib just as easily as men. It's not a gender issue at all.
No, it isn't, with the exception that men get it more than women.
Statistically, they know that.
Yes.
Is it because men weigh more?
I have no idea why that is.
But is there a weight issue on some of these?
Yes, there is definitely a weight issue. Obesity is definitely a contributing factor to developing a-fib because it puts more pressure on the pulmonary veins. The extra signal sources of a-fib usually come from the pulmonary veins, and when you're overweight, it puts more pressure on those pulmonary veins, and they tend to get irritated, and they tend to develop a-fib.
But in your particular case, you were never overweight.
No.
And you were a runner even then in your 50s.
Yes.
So you were. Your friends might have thought, "Oh God, Steve's a healthy guy. Why did this happen to Steve?"
Exactly. I had what is classically called lone a-fib. Lone a-fib means there's no other health problems in the guy's life, There's nothing we can point to like hypertension is also triggers AFib. But I didn't have hypertension. I was perfectly healthy, and I still got it.
And so you went to your first physician, and so you were not happy with the first physician, that you went to more than one?
Oh, yes.
And they all kind of had the same presentation?
Yeah, right. They just basically said, try these different meds, And unfortunately, today's meds just don't work for atrial fibrillation, or they work for a short time, and then all of a sudden people develop, they lose their effectiveness, and all of a sudden they go back into AFib. And meds, unfortunately, we don't have good meds for atrial fibrillation today.
And what was the name of the French physician who you worked with who did the surgery, the procedure for you?
Haysager.
And when you mentioned his name to the physicians in the late 90s, did they think, oh, we don't know about him, we're not going to recommend it? Did they poo-poo it? What did they say?
Oh, no, many of them recognized his name right away and recognized him as an authority in the field, because he had been doing research before this. And so many of the doctors, I would not only go to the library, but I would call doctors and I would ask their opinion and get second opinions from many different doctors, and they all knew him.
And they were happy to talk to you over the phone, the physicians? You'd call them on the phone, they were nice to you?
Yes.
So you felt you were being treated courteously?
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah. Nothing but good things to say about, I can't say that all the doctors had all the right information, but they were very good in terms of courteous and answering my phone calls and answering my questions.
Okay. Well, Steve Ryan, how can we buy a copy of Beat Your A-fib?
Beat Your A-fib is available on Amazon.com, and it's also available on our website, beatyourafib.com. And it's available both as a book and as an ebook on our website, beatyourafib.com.
As an ebook?
Yes.
And what's it so far as an ebook?
$24.
Oh, it's an ebook. Okay.
And if you join our AFib alerts, you get it for $12. And the idea behind that is we figure people are just beginning to understand AFib if they see our book, so they need more information. So we send out every month the newest research.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. And what's the site for that with the newest research?
AFib alerts.
AFib alerts.
Yes, and that you get that once you buy the ebook or the book.
Are you doing any public speaking here in Southern California?
Oh yeah, I've been on a number of different radio and TV shows, and I'm going to be at the. I have to read this because I make sure I got this right. I'll be at the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books at the USC campus, Saturday and Sunday, April 12th and 13th. I'll look for booth 913, the Book Publicist of Southern California. That's the that's the LA Times Festival of Books at USC.
Okay,
Saturday.
Go, Steve, read that once again. Go ahead.
Sure. The LA Times Festival of Books at USC, Saturday and Sunday, April 12th and 13th, booth 913.
Okay, great.
But I have one thing to tell people. Mm-hmm. AFib can be cured. If someone tells you you have to live with meds for the rest of your life, go see another doctor. AFib is easily cured. It's the most easily cured heart disease there is. The procedure is very low risk. It's not completely low risk, but it's so low risk it's like tying your tubes. It's a piece of cake compared to living with AFib. You should not have to live the rest of your life in AFib.
Well, Steve Ryan, thank you very much for being a guest today on Here's to Your Health. It was very nice of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. LA Talk Live, we are more than just talk.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Indian Tyler inviting you to join me beginning April 9th every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Indian Tyler's Beyond the Vanity. Join me as we go beyond the vanity and discuss the real-life issues of beauty. And it gets really real. So on April 9th, don't forget to tune in to Indian Tyler's Beyond the Vanity, Wednesdays at 2 p.m., exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, Radio Flag, and AHA Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Onyx Monopoly, inviting you to join me every Monday at 11 a.m. for my new show, Hooked on Onyx, spreading motivation and inspiration through wisdom, experience, and music. So don't forget to tune in to Hooked on Onyx, Mondays at 11 a.m., exclusively on latalklive.com, the LA Talk Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, Radio Flag, and AHA Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My next guest is Sandy West, and Sandy owns the Creative Chakra Spa here in Los Angeles, a place where many celebs go to be well taken care of, many of the celebs being very sophisticated and understanding some of the natural therapeutics that they use. Sandy, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you. Great being here.
And so your company, your spa is called Creative Chakra Spa.
Yes, it's a celebrity spa.
And so tell the listening audience why the name Creative Chakra.
It's my personal mantra. So I feel that you should always have like a mantra that, makes you feel, empowered. So that's what I did. I work in the film business, and I just felt that was a really good chakra for me to work on. It's the 5th chakra. It's the creative chakra. And so it's about your authentic self. So in fact, your authentic self, if you have optimal health, then you really are authentic. And just that particular chakra is about speaking and, just being able to, really ask for what you want in life and be able to be eloquent about it.
Well, that seems important, be able to know and ask for what you would like in life. And what kind of services does your spa offer?
We do ancient healing techniques from around the world. So Ayurveda is a well-known traditional Indian medicine, which you're probably aware of. And we do other things such as vinotherapy from Italy. Vinotherapy, it sounds funny, but the resveratrol in wine is great for anti-aging.
Right. And so how do you work that into a therapy?
There's a wine wrap that I do. So
a wine wrap.
People aren't drinking, but yeah, a
wine
wine
I see.
wrap.
That's very amusing.
Yeah.
So they wrap themselves in linen soaked in wine?
We wrap them, yes.
That's okay. That seems like fun. And what else do you do there?
And massage, facials, wraps, and scrubs. And it's a full spa, but it's a retreat. It's like a little mini vacation at the beach.
And what type of training do your massage people get?
They're all licensed massage therapists, California State Board. The one thing that's really different about our massage therapists is that they also do energy work, such as Reiki or chakra balancing, as well as addressing the physical. So we're addressing the physical, the mental, and the emotional.
So you see you can go to any lovely high-end spa and get a massage, but do you feel that your personnel are really more body workers, they're really more therapists? Can you say that without getting in trouble?
Yeah, but they're definitely really caring therapists that have about 16 different skill therapies. So training is important, but intention of healing is very important. Being there for the client in every way. So when you come in, you're allowed to just release all the physical discomfort you got, okay? And that's also going to release sometimes an emotional thing in the client too. But we're just there. We're holding the space of healing, and the environment also really helps for healing too, because you've got the positive ions from the ocean. We're right at the ocean in the Marina Peninsula.
Where's your spot? Where is it again?
Marina Peninsula. So Marina Del Rey actually is a peninsula, yeah.
That's very lovely there. And what's the exact address?
It's 3401 Pacific Avenue, and that's Marina Del Rey, 90292.
And you're there, are you open 7 days a week?
7 days a week, 10 to 9.
I see. And so you mentioned chakras, and would you give my listeners a kind of an overview of what the word chakra means?
Yes, definitely. So chakras are a window to the soul. It's like a spiritual antenna. So it's what you feel inside. So when people say, I've got this gut feeling, it's really like the third chakra activating right there. It's saying, I just don't feel right about this. So I really feel that people can empower themselves through chakras. And, you can see the world through chakras. You can see people's behavior through chakras. It's a great way to understand. I mean, this is ancient knowledge. This is yoga. This is 5,000 years of knowledge, So it was emperors and kings who just had the time to do the yoga poses and to begin to understand the spiritual, the inner self. And so the chakras really help you read people, also help you with optimal health as well, so that you know what you're lacking in, so that you can really live your life to the full. Sometimes people are in the root chakra, and the root chakra with people that can be greed, money, if it's off balance, or just that type of thing. Some people in like the seventh chakra, the crown chakra, can be really airheady. So we've met these people, and it's great to have empathy for these people and just know where they're at, and to be able to help to bring them in. And we can do that with our therapies as well. And I also have a product line as well. I have an Ayurvedic product line, I have an aromatherapy product line, and a chakra balancing line. Which
on the Ayurvedic products, so they use they use herbs from India?
Yes.
Such as what? Turmeric or something, or neem or something? Or?
You know exactly the things, exactly, yes.
And you find those work, and it's becoming kind of popular now, right?
And I have also teas and elixirs that go with that. So you're able to, heal from the inside out.
Sure.
So I think, it's a great thing, just using herbs to just really revitalize.
Are there any particular herbs that you happen to maybe have a formulation that you think this really helps a lot of my patients?
Triphala is a really good one, but it really needs to be under the supervision of an Ayurvedic
and
practitioner.
Triphala, what, keeps bowels open?
And
people need
it
that.
helps cleanse and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes, on this show we do talk about bowels because in Nature Cure, Bernard Jensen has always said that bowels are central to good health. And so, we talk about it. Sometimes people say, you health guys talk a lot of time about bowels, and the answer is, well, yes, we do, because if you don't move your bowels every day, you don't feel very good. It's not necessarily a glamorous subject to talk about, is it? Not very glamorous. But if you don't move your bowels every day, you think, I don't feel very good. And then when you take something like Triphala and other things that keep the bowel open, you think, well, that was simple. It didn't cost me a lot of money, and I feel much better now. So that's why we talk about it.
It really is. It's really the basics. It's really about the nutrition coming in and that feeding the blood and the brain and being able to eliminate the toxins. So, we also have at the spa an infrared sauna, which is truly popular for people. Yeah.
And do you find that people, when they do infrared sauna, so tell my listeners on Here's Your Health, how is an infrared sauna different from the saunas the wet saunas, the dry saunas that they've been using for many years?
Yes. Well, it's really gentle and anybody can use it. People with a heart condition can actually use it because it helps to exercise the heart, but it's not too, the heat's not too much. And so the beautiful thing about the infrared sauna, it's very comfortable. It pulls toxins out of the fat cells. It reduces heavy metals in the system, environmental toxins, also helps you reduce weight, helps produce the collagen in the skin. I mean, it does so much. And also just relaxation within the muscles because it goes in about an inch or so deep.
Yes. So when you use the infrared sauna, how long do I sit in the infrared sauna?
We suggest about 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh, that much? So
yeah.
It's much different than the earlier saunas. Is that it? We do like 6 or 7 minutes, right?
Yeah, definitely different. And we're out, our particular one's looking out to the meditation garden. It's really nice. So it's very comfortable, but after about 20 minutes, you begin sweating profusely. And it's still very comfortable, so it's great. You really get a great sweat. And that's what you want to do. You want to just get rid of those toxins.
And that's called a far infrared sauna.
Yes.
And has that been around, what, just 10, 15 years? It's kind of a new technology?
It's gained more popularity recently, you're right, in the last 10 or 15 years, but actually it's been around since the 70s.
Oh, it has?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And is your infrared sauna made out of wood? Is that the standard material?
Yes. It's you have to be careful what infrared saunas you do get in because some are made of hemlock and then the off gases of some of those type of woods are not that great. So you do want to spend, for
hemlock,
a nice...
that sounds like a bad idea, doesn't it?
Doesn't sound like a great idea, does
Mm-hmm.
it? So cheaper wood, But cedar I think is really good because it's naturally antibacterial as well. So that's always a good thing when people are sweating in it.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they're just fantastic to have. And it's great that we have it, that it's outside in the garden because you can really just enjoy a retreat after your massage, just relaxing. And it's exclusive and private use as well, even if you just come in to use the sauna. So that's nice because you don't have people coming, going, talking. And it just gives your mind time to slow down. And we already have that healing ability within us. We just need that time and that space to access it.
You also mentioned one other term besides Ayurveda. You mentioned Reiki. And for my listening audience, please tell us what Reiki healing is.
Reiki comes from Japan originally. And it's also an energy balancing, almost chakra balancing. I have to tell you this story, though. I am on the Drew Carey show, right? When he had the comedy show going, I was doing stand-in for a lot of the celebrities, Phyllis Diller, all the different celebrities who came in. It was such a lot of fun. But what was funny...
You were on the Drew Carey show?
Yeah. And
what was your character?
I was the stand-in. I was the stand-in for all the celebrity clients.
Oh,
so
I
it was
see.
Fantastic. I used to work with all different directors. It was really great and all different celebrities. And, I'd often do massage for Drew as well, of course. And but
he's a funny guy.
Yeah, he is. He's really, really great guy. And the crew used to do Reiki on me. It's a great energy technique that so many people, just everyday people, not just like healing spas or energy healers, are able to access. And it's a beautiful thing because I really think that it's the everyman's energy. It's just energy. And the beautiful thing about Reiki, if you do massage, is you become an energy conduit for this, beautiful uplifting energy. And it comes through the body and through the hands. And it's a never-ending conduit. The more you do it, the more the practitioner who's doing the massage is walking their talk. They're more healing. It's like Tai Chi. It's pranic energy. It's the same type of thing. You know, it's that what we have within us, the innate healing. And it's definitely there for everybody to access. It's a great thing.
And when did you open this Creative Chakra Spa?
I opened it over 11 years ago, but I've been in business since '98. And we started on the movie set. We still go out and do on-set massage and on-set yoga a couple of times a month. I love doing that. It's fun.
Yeah, yoga has been embraced by many people because they realize how much better they feel when they do those corrective exercises.
Yeah, what it does is it unifies the body and the mind, and the spirit just comes along for the ride. It's like, hey, I like this. So yeah, for people, I'm actually doing a documentary right now called Yoga of the Mind, and I think that it's an important subject because I think there's misconceptions about yoga everywhere, where some people think, oh, it's about religion, I can't do it. Some people think like, well, I just can only do hatha yoga because that's really physical. I can only do power yoga. Some people are like, I gotta do kundalini because that's all about energy. But really, yoga is a great way for people to de-stress, because disease comes from 85% of stress related. You know, so yoga is a great way to calm the mind, and meditation is part of yoga. And I just really want to show people how that they can really be involved with their life, you know, whichever part of yoga they want to use.
Sure. And you yourself, you've been doing yoga for a long time, so you've tried Ashtanga yoga and Kundalini yoga and, you know, Bikram yoga, and you find they're all valuable to you. You like them. They've been good.
Yes, I'm a certified yoga teacher, which just, you know, made me have to explore even more, you know,
Sure.
more about the body. I became a Pilates instructor too. It's like the more you learn about the body, we've all got the same body. It's
Sure.
interesting,
Sure.
but every body is like a work of art. You know,
Yeah,
so we're
nice way to
all
look at it.
yeah. So it's valuable information, and people love to read about this. And you know, I've been reading about it since I was 9. You know,
Yeah, people do like to read about it, and luckily it enjoys a certain mainstream status now after all these years. Not everyone, but a big chunk of us are actually doing this just as a matter of course now. I mean, yoga is not, you know, I mean, is it controversial? Not here in California, is it?
No,
Maybe
we've
some
got
places,
some of the best teachers here.
We have some great teachers. I mean, it might be controversial somewhere. And after all, it
Midwest.
really was originally probably Hindu in origin. It goes back several thousand years for sure. So yes, there was certainly a religious component to it. So like, some people have a problem with that, and most of us don't, right?
It's true. And some of the texts, when yoga teachers want to be authentic sometimes, some of the texts are very stale and don't translate very well to the American mind. So this is why I feel the documentary is really important. And just also my healing center, in order for people to be able to really take charge of their own health. And I mean, look, you can pay loads of money on health insurance, or you can be involved with your own health and enjoy it. Why do people come in and have a massage and go like, oh my God, I feel so guilty, that feels so good. But you know what? That was fantastic. That just flushed out the toxins in your system,
Right.
the serotonin, the brain's going. I mean, you feel, why
But
not?
People think, oh no, that was too much of it. They spent too much money. Is that they think they feel bad? Is that it?
Not so much at my place, because people know what they're coming for. They're very discerning clients. But a lot of people feel like, wow, I spent this much time on myself, you know. It's like,
Really?
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got so used to, you know, just the head, you know, driving, and the head, you know, doing the computer. We've cut off our heads from our bodies. I mean, we really got to just bring those two together. You know, the spirit's got to be happy.
Yes, I think so. You mean tell me people come in, people feel guilty because they said, oh, like I spent X on a massage and that was a lot of money. Is that people guilty? Is that it? You see
They
that?
sometimes feel guilty, yeah, but we do have a lot of celebrity clients, you know, Julia Stiles, Kevin Kline. I mean, they don't really worry about those type of things, you know, Green Day.
yeah, I don't think Kevin Kline would worry too much. He's, you know, probably saved a few dollars. Hopefully, I'm a big Kevin Kline fan myself. So you mentioned that we talked about the Ayurvedic herbs. What kind of essential oils do you work with that you think work?
Essential oils really are, they're fantastic.
Well, what are they?
I would
Tell
like
me listening.
to,
Tell
I
me
would like,
what they are. Tell my audience what essential oils are.
they're antibacterial, they're antifungal, they're antiviral. They're fantastic. I feel that that should be what's in people's medicine cupboard. Like they should start with the lavender. The lavender is great for
lavender is
everything.
essential oil. So tell me a few of the essential oils that you like a lot.
The lavender, because that's really calming, and if you burn your skin or anything, it's great for that. Or insect bites. Rosemary, great. Use that with a bit of any of your face washes or your body washes. It's really great for stimulating the skin. And then eucalyptus, you've got a cold, use that. Just if anything, just do the old school thing and get the pot out on and a bit of eucalyptus and a towel over the head. There you are.
That is actually
really
old school,
helps.
but that certainly does work. Yeah.
Yeah, and lemon. If you can get a diffuser, lemon is awesome. Lemon is antiviral. So if you're in the work environment and there's a lot of people who are sick, just get those lemon essential oils. And I had heard in Japan, they're good at these things, that they were pumping through the air conditioning system lemon because it also keeps you awake.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And grapefruit also is really good for the skin as well. If you want to use any citrus, you don't want to use any citrus on the skin if you're going to go out into the sun, and we're in California, so we have quite a lot of sun, because that can also not be so good on the pigmentation. So you really need to know your stuff.
Does it bleach your pigment?
It can, yeah. And you definitely don't want to use pure essential oils on the skin either. You need a carrier, whether it's water or oil or cream or something, because
okay, so let's define.
they're very strong.
What's the term carrier mean in this case?
The carrier would be the body lotion or some distilled water.
So you're saying that if I'm going to use like a drop of lemon oil, therapeutically, I should mix it with something, and we call that a carrier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because these are really effective treatments for your health. Like, some of these compounds are made sometimes into pills, aren't they? So we take a bit of lemon, we take a bit of this particular herb, and we put it in a pill form and give it to you. But it's so much better to have it in the pure form.
Right.
And much more fun too, and it feels really good. Like, I make a beautiful spray called the Miracle Spray. It's great. It's got lavender, rosemary, and chamomile in it, and it's a facial toner. It's originally a facial toner, but I realized if I spray it on myself, I smell like a spa. I feel really good. So I was spraying it on my clothes, and I started using it for cleaning. So it's a non-toxic cleaner. It's fantastic. These are things that you can use, like for glass,
Other than lavender, lavender is very popular. It's also very calming, right? People use lavender, and you mentioned lemon. And you mentioned eucalyptus. What else do you really like?
Tangerine, if you're feeling like depressed,
really
want to uplift your spirits, that's great.
A drop of tangerine in a carrier oil?
Yeah, I like to put just on my little pulse points. And then chamomile, if you can't sleep at night, got insomnia, put a few drops on your pillow. You feel really good.
Really?
Yeah. And then when you're also having a bath as well, put a few drops of essential oils in. Now, geranium's awesome. Geranium is really balancing for women, for hormonal issues, and just really balancing in particular for women, and also for oily skins as well. So really gentle. You don't have to strip the pH of your skin, and you don't want to strip the pH of your skin.
Right.
Because then you will get more into environmental toxins, and so you do want to keep that pH barrier on the skin.
When a new person comes to the spa, do you go through a presentation with them so they understand the ideas? Because a lot of people they've never heard any of this before. They think, well, we never heard any of this. We have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, I'm sure they're there because they recognize your ideas have merit, but they've never heard. Do you find that? Do you get a lot of people who have never heard of anything, or they already have been referred by a friend, they already know the ideas?
No, there's a lot of people who have just heard the tip of the iceberg, really. And, they definitely find me because they're like, wow, I thought I had to go to Texas to find you type of thing, because I've been looking everywhere, and then I found you, And so they're there, they're ready to embrace, they're ready to allow, to let go. And it's really great. You get in there, you don't know what time is. We have the type of spa that you come in and you're not on the hour, every hour, get you in supermarket spa. It's all staggered appointments, so it's really great. Everybody feels like they journey through this maze through the spa, and they feel like there's no one there, but that's how we do it, So people really are allowed to let go of time, but it's so interesting when people come in sometimes. They're like, so what do we do first? And then what do we do next? And then what exactly happens after that? And we're just like, we're here for you. we'll guide you through. Just come in, relax, and be. And the difference from when they walk in to they walk out is amazing in their face. I mean, some of them look 10 years younger. It's amazing.
Right. It's amazing how the body really can look different reasonably quickly with a little bit of care.
Rejuvenation, yes.
And what do you do as far as rehydrating the body? Do you recommend waters or vegetable juices or herbal teas? Do you have a program, a protocol?
Definitely, that's definitely one of the most important components is, getting water in the body for sure. So I do like the alkalinized water, and I definitely think herbs are fantastic. Just herbal infusions, teas, they're great. You can buy the supermarket ones if you want to, but I feel that you could easily just come to my place and buy the herbs there, and you can
get a better grade of herb.
Yeah, it's very vibrant. In fact, you just put a teaspoon in a pot, and then you keep adding water to that all day, and you hardly have to do too much to it, and you've just got constant, tea after tea after tea, and you can use it as iced tea after the next day. And I let a lot of people come up and they're like, there's people in the neighborhood, they're like, I got a hangover. Can you give me some tea therapy? And I just, I put some different herbs together for them. And there's people who can't sleep, and I just put some herbs together for them. It's really fun and creative just when people come up and they're like, this thing's bothering me.
Do you have any formulations that you really, let's say one of the neighbors comes over and says, oh, I got a hangover. What kind of formulation do you put together?
It just depends on the day. I think oftentimes lemongrass, chamomile, and I also put some
lemongrass
ginseng
tastes
in
good
there.
anyway, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good spa tea, definitely.
And what do you do? What herbs do you use when you want to help a patron cleanse their liver?
That would be milk thistle. But then again, in that particular point, I wouldn't just, have somebody come in and just administer herbs just for the sake of it. I'd have them speak with our Ayurvedic practitioner first, before doing that, because I really want people not to just, sometimes people are so far with like, I don't like Western medicine, and I'm like, no, it has its place.
Right, it does, yeah.
We have to learn to work together
Right.
on this. Western medicine's just over 100 years old or so, right?
True,
So,
that's a good.
Yeah, and this is like
Pretty new.
5,000
Right.
years old. You can't go one or the other.
Right.
I feel like that we can work complementary side by side, So I definitely always want people to, really know what their health is and not just blow everything to the wind and go like, well, I'm just going to go do alternative health and everything's going to be fine.
Right.
Yeah, I prefer them to be under, some medical supervision or an Ayurvedic practitioner as well.
And so you have yoga classes at your spa?
We do. So one of the nicest packages is to come in. We have actually a lot of couples that come in. So we have private bathrooms and we have larger healing rooms, which are just, really great for couples or for spa parties. And so we have some packages where best friends come together, or couples, and they do a yoga, and they sometimes do it in the studio there or in our garden, or we're just steps from the beach. So that is a beautiful package. They often go, I think I'll do steps from the beach, and they go down to the ocean, and just, it's really magnificent to be right there by the shoreline and the waves going.
Well, Sandy, how big is your place? You're in Marina Del Rey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Creative Chakra Spa.
Creative
and
Chakra
how big
Spa.
are you there? How big is it?
5,000 square feet.
Oh my goodness, it's very big.
It's
5,000.
bigger than you think. When you
my
get there,
goodness,
you're like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, people
That's a
go,
good-sized
this
building.
goes on and on.
Wow. Well, that's great. Give us your contact info.
Yes, it's 310-823-9378, and you can call us 10 to 9, 7 days a week, and it's at Creative Chakra Spa, 3401 Pacific Avenue, Marina Del Rey, California, 90292, and we are 3 tiny short blocks of the Venice Pier, so it's very easy to find, a little retreat, a little mini vacation within the city, right
Sandy,
there.
sounds very good.
Thank
you for being
you.
a guest today on my show. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's been great, Joshua. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
We were speaking with Sandy West of Creative Chakra Spa, and I'm the host of Here's to Your Health. My name is Josh Lane, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
to LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Stay tuned.